A massive deal to combine two of the world's biggest entertainment giants was announced just moments ago. The Walt Disney Company is buying a large portion of 21st Century Fox. That includes its movie and TV studios, the Hulu streaming service, and a number of hit franchises. The deal was announced this morning by Disney CEO, that's Bob Iger. The expected value is about $52 billion. So what's in it for Disney? Because there's so much more to Fox than Fox News.
Absolutely. So what Disney will get is the ownership of the Fox TV studios, the Fox movie studios, including those amazing brands like Avatar or X-Men. Also gets an interest in Hulu, gets an interest in Sky TV, the UK version, and also gets the National Geographic channel. But as you said, very important here, Fox will retain the news network, Fox News Channel, Fox Business News. Let's look at what the competition has done. We just look back 10 years ago. These big content creators didn't have a Netflix, didn't have Amazon. Now Apple, YouTube, everyone's getting into the game. Whoever has the most content, regardless of how it goes out, whether it's a stream or on broadcast, those are the companies that really are going to survive.
All right, this is super important. We're all dressed as our favorite Disney Plus characters. Lisa, what are you?
I'm a melting glacier that's doomed.
Okay, that's plenty.
Okay, I'm Bo Peep, but I'm not using the crook.
Where's the boy?
I'm not gonna do it. You're not gonna make me do it. I don't care how much they paid.
You put on that nose and ears or I'll take off yours. Now everybody smile.
The Mouse Guard film that you and Wes were working on, I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit about what people who both love the book and maybe aren't familiar with the graphic novel would have got to see had that film ever actually made it to fruition.
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it got cancelled the day before, the night that was, the day before I was going to fly out, I got the call saying, actually, don't. But from what I saw and some of the artwork that I saw from Wes and the amount of time and effort that had been put into that project already was quite astounding. And I mean, some of the stuff I saw looked ready to just be released already. It was quite incredible. And I'm not a big fan of motion capture, but I think that really would have worked because it's all from this worm's eye view. It's all from down in amongst the grass, in amongst the trees, and I think motion capture would have worked really tremendously well. And to see what the landscapes and the creatures that Wes had created, it would have been cool.
Right before the movie started, the new Mandalorian trailer played, which I had not seen. It's kind of like double movies coming out at the same time. Kind of like, the Prestige, Illusionist, which we've kind of talked about that in the past. Just because, to me, Predator Badlands feels like a really great Mandalorian movie, just in kind of its style, its substance, for sure its plot as well. I know you're a big Star Wars Mandalorian guy in general. Do you think this is a good Mandalorian movie, and do you think it'll be better than the one that we'll get?
It's interesting. This is something I wanted to talk about as well. This definitely feels like a very Disney-fied Predator movie, which is great for our overall conversation today. It is like a Mandalorian episode, maybe a bad one in the sense of like, does the Predator need to be doing a Mandalorian episode? I'm not sure. I think this will be a better movie than The Mandalorian and Grogu. I love Star Wars, but I'm not excited about that film. I watched the trailer the day it came out and I saw the poster. I have not interacted with it since then. I guess I've got another 6 months here of probably seeing that trailer in theaters. And I'm not looking forward to it. It's too late. They should have, if they were going to make a movie, they should have done it when that second season dropped.
Yeah, I think the timing of it for sure is pretty weird. The thing that interests me is Jeremy Allen White playing Jabba the Hutt's son, I believe.
Why does that interest you, Kody? That means nothing.
That's awesome, though. That is such perfect casting. He's a little guy. He kind of fits that character.
Yeah, but I don't think he even did I don't think they did performance capture. I literally think he just provided a voice to a CGI character that's going to be speaking Huttese. Right?
I'm still bummed. Yeah, I don't think he'll be speaking much English. But he might. We'll see.
I don't know.
I'm pumped.
Maybe he'll be in full Hutt mode though. After we're gonna see him for the next year, just at Austin Butler Elvis. He's gonna be fully Road to the Hutt out on the press tours.
I mean, I'm down for that. I didn't love the Elvis, voice going forward.
Springsteen.
I would love to see that. Kind of just take over his personality going forward. I think that'd be really fun. But yeah, I agree. I think Predator Badlands is 100% in hindsight going to be a better movie than I think it's called The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think is its official title, even though it doesn't really matter. But a really fun thing about this movie is like it has its own kind of like Grogu-esque character
Right.
in Bud. So you really do have that similar dynamic of
Which I didn't know going in. Did you know
I
there was a
didn't
little guy? Yeah.
no idea. Yeah. I didn't know much about this movie going in, honestly. I just knew kind of the premise of, he's on this planet and everything's trying to kill him. I mean, it's kind of the premise of like After Earth, if we're being completely honest, which is a really, really bad movie. Shout out M.
Not
Night.
great.
Shout out Jaden too.
Yeah,
But
really shout out to Will Smith. I think that's the driving force there.
but yeah, I think like it takes that premise and it really just infuses like this really good Predator lore. I think the setup specifically is really fun. It brings together like a ton of different genres. Like we mentioned, kind of Disney-fied for sure, with kind of some humor and some, fun animal sidekick. It's got some Star Trek stuff though as well, I feel like, of especially the beginning. It reminds me of like a really good like Klingon episode, kind of, dealing with different cultures and kind of how they perceive, weakness and strengths and stuff like that. So I thought that was super interesting. And then it definitely brings together an awesome alien element, bringing in the synthetics and, Elle Fanning obviously in dual roles, which I think it's just like a 2025 thing of how many movies are going to have like dual roles. Shout out Sinners, obviously, but I think there's been like 5 or 6 already this year, which is super fun for actors.
Yeah, I'm gonna at the end of this conversation, we'll get your ranking, Kody. I need the official dual role ranking, but we'll get
the list
that.
just it keeps getting longer. But yeah, I just thought it was fun how it did bring together a ton of different elements, alien, universe included. But at its core, it's still like it's a really fun action movie. So I really enjoyed this, and like I said, I do think it will be better for sure than the Mandalorian movie upcoming.
I did like it. I didn't love it. I don't think a Predator movie is ever gonna like be able to fully win me over. I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't talk
Do you
to me.
think? Do you think
I
it's
know we did an
because like
episode.
it's a good guy Predator? I've seen a lot of people having issues with that specifically.
I don't have an issue with that, and I like the idea of reframing the perspective. I like kind of the boldness of really you have Elle Fanning delivering dialogue in English, but there's a ton of the Yaoja language being spoken here. I know he like wanted to call it Yaoja and really focus on that kind of like lore aspect of it and like the creature race stuff, which I like. Like you said, it feels like Star Trek. It feels like you said Star Wars, or at least Disney Star Wars. It is pulling from a ton of sci-fi outside of the Predator universe. So I do think that stuff's interesting. There's some, like Avatar, like planets and fauna type stuff in here. The stakes never felt that high to me. I think that was the real, issue, the Disney kind of Mandalorian problem, where it's like this Predator, yeah, there's a deadly force that's trying to kill him, but he always kind of figures out a way to get through it pretty easily. Elle Fanning, obviously in her dual roles is kind of pulling a good one, bad one type thing here. But I was never really like too concerned about where she was going to end up. I was never too concerned with what was going to happen with Bud and all these characters. Like, they're a family. And I don't know, does a Predator movie need to be about friendship, Kody? I don't know.
Yeah. And that is the thing, like it is very, very different.
Because he can be the center of it. And it's taking this like, toxic masculinity figure at the center and like bringing him around. He's got a little dog and a girl that kind of shows him the hope and friendship and family. And I don't know, does the Predator need to be that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is why like more hardcore fans of the franchise, maybe that's not their favorite arc, kind of with this, but that is 100% like the Disney-fied version, I think, of Predator. But for me, like I do enjoy that. I think it's just because like it makes sense character-wise for this Predator to kind of go through that. Because for the entirety of the movie, I mean, he is mostly, your typical Predator, just a dick, doesn't care about anybody. He's willing to cross Elle Fanning, multiple times. Obviously, she did the same to him too. But another thing I want to mention too is like I didn't realize until I was looking on Letterboxd and stuff after the fact, but this movie's rated PG-13, which I feel like is super strange for the extreme violence. Obviously, they get away with it with him battling.
There's no
vines.
blood though. There's no human blood. It's not human violence. It's a robot and it's a alien creature.
but they're getting decapitated. I mean, they're getting like it's
split in
gruesome
half.
stuff.
They pull the cut the guy in half move a few
Yeah.
times down
Which
the
I
middle.
liked. And then yeah, I mean, you have like the jungle, fighting him. You have like the vines and stuff. So no real blood in this, which is how they get away with it. But like after watching the movie, I would have 100% guessed it was rated R. To be fair, there were like kids in the theater when I was there, so that should have been a giveaway. But these days, you never know, I guess. But again, like I think this is a real Disneyfication of the franchise. But for me, like it did work kind of in all aspects. I really, really like this movie. I think it is my favorite Predator movie of all time, which is pretty crazy.
When you look at where the Predator franchise was prior to the Disney acquisition, which is something we're gonna, get deep into here, that Disney taking over, like, to me, this is a success. This is a revitalized franchise through Prey and Killer of Killers, and now this movie. Those three films do at least feel kind of a piece. Obviously, Dan Trachtenberg is the the Kevin Feige now of the Predator universe, maybe even the Alien universe, as we see things getting set up. But I don't know. I think the action here is kind of bland. The CGI was good. Like sneaky. I wouldn't have said this, 6 months ago, but I think sneaky VFX nom potentially for this film. And obviously, like the PG-13 of us, it had a very successful weekend at the box office. Like everyone's going to see this. Families, people who like the Predator movies. It's made $90 million at this point as we're recording this. So like you're right, it is a success. It feels a little bit kitty gloved for sure, which I don't love, but like it's a good movie. It's fun, fall fun at the box office.
That's all you can ask for these days. And I agree. I mean, I think the action, it's not as like that's not the great thing about this movie, especially compared to like the other Predator movies where, I mean, the first one, which we've done an episode on, obviously, like it is an action movie. It's an 80s action movie more than anything else. More than a Predator movie, even probably. So it is definitely a big diversion, I think, from the franchise. But to be honest, I don't love most of the Predator movies, if I'm being honest. So I think going this direction is a good choice for the franchise. And I think obviously Trachtenberg like knows what he's doing, with this universe. So I think he's a great figure to kind of, lead the charge going forward. I don't know. Do you think he'll keep on directing like every single movie, or like do you think he'll slide more into that Feige, perspective?
Well, it is interesting. What is next, right? Like, what's the future of this? Obviously, this movie ends kind of, setting them up as a family, and they have a new foe to fight. We haven't really even talked about like the superstructure of his own family issues he's having within his Predator clan. But Trachtenberg's hinted at wanting to do an Alien versus Predator movie. Would you like to see this guy, this Deck figure, as the protagonist of the film fighting a xenomorph?
Hell yeah, I would love to see that. I think with that though, you have to make it a hard R. So I don't know if like
I agree. This
specifically would blend into that perfectly. I don't know. It's tough to make a good Alien versus Predator movie, I think. They've tried a couple times and not done very well, but like from a story perspective, I don't know what you really do with it. I like how they made a Predator, more vulnerable and more of a character in this, which doesn't really happen very often. But I don't know if you can really do the same thing with an alien. So you kind of have to have them as the antagonists.
What if it's the alien from the end of Romulus?
the stick figure looking guy. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense, I guess, for continuing continuity, but I don't really want to see that personally. That was one of my biggest gripes with Romulus, which we've talked about in the past.
I think Trachtenberg did say that this movie takes place like much further in the future than any other Predator film or anything else that's come, like even Alien movies. This takes like Resurrection, which is set way in the future. I think this is like supposed to be very far in the future.
Yeah. It's hard to gauge too, because obviously, I mean, with Elle Fanning's character, they're still working for, the company.
Weyland-Yutani, Mother, which is, the same type of stuff that gets talked about in the original Alien film, the ship that Central Intelligence that's kind of leading them.
But it is hard to place kind of where it would be at, kind of related to everything else Alien that we've seen. Because, I mean, at all times, they're trying to expand and kind of, do their own unruly thing as the company. So I think it is set, a bit in the future. But it could be, it could be at any time, really. It's kind of whatever they want to do for the next one. I think they can kind of play with that timeline. But I don't know. Do you think they'll, because I think obviously it does set it up for a sequel, but I don't know if it makes sense for this movie to set up for an Alien versus Predator sequel.
Yeah, probably not this movie specifically. But I'm curious to see what the next thing is. If it is going to be just another Predator movie, because they've done,
I hope
3
so.
films now. Obviously, they have their animation stuff. Maybe we'll get another animated film next. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean this is like the first time really that Fox had confidence to give it a wide release though. They
Disney.
probably Disney, excuse me, yeah. What's the difference? But I mean obviously with Prey that should have been a release. I think 100%, and they just didn't have the confidence in it, so they kind of made a misstep there. I think obviously the animated Killers of Killers makes sense to make that a streamer. But yeah, I think this is probably a launching point for them for kind of more movies, in this universe. So excited to see where they'll go. This may be their peak, low key. Hopefully not. But hopefully they just don't go like full Mandalorian with the next one, which I feel like is probably what they're gonna do.
I did really enjoy the leg fight. I thought that was good stuff with Elle Fanning. I think that was probably my favorite sequence of the film. But the rest of it, I don't know. The original movie is actually the only one I've seen. Prey, but of like the Fox run of the Predator films, I've only seen the original. And there just is just like such a texture and a reality to that. That movie also a lot about like masculinity and weird homoerotic relationships. This, I guess, is keeping that aspect of a little bit the masculinity stuff.
I think for me, what really does make it great is like the sci-fi aspects. Like I really did love the alien tie-ins of. I mean, of course, just like
I thought the alien stuff was very good. We can talk more about that. Yeah.
Using Elle Fanning, as a backpack, like that's such a Star Trek thing, I feel like, of having a synthetic, even if they take massive hits, like they're still there, kind of fighting and can still be a good resource to help you. So I thought their dynamic was fun, just using her as a tool. And then obviously at the very end, once the evil Elle Fanning gets into the big I don't even know what it's called. What's that thing called? From
the thing from Aliens.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Thing from Aliens. I can never name it, but I really love that. Big ass truck thing, just squaring off with the Predator, and this other big creature I thought was cool too. And I think the planet as a setting is kind of just like the perfect setting.
Kalisk.
The Kalisk. Shout out Bud's mom. But yeah, I thought the setting was awesome. I mean, they kind of nerf him off the beginning with the vines kind of taking all of his tools and stuff, which I didn't love. But then he just has to like start from scratch, figure out kind of all this crazy stuff. The grass, shout out to that. I think that's really fun. But then he like has to use, all of these elements that have attacked him to kind of, propel himself forward. So I thought that was fun too, just from a story perspective, using the land of this, crazy Badlands.
Right. He's got to become one with the native people and the land.
He's got to turn.
It's very tropey.
He's got to turn into the Predator, man. He's in his prime form, which I loved. So it is definitely tropey. I 100% would give you that, but I think the tropes just work for kind of this movie overall.
What do you think about the performance of the Predator? Because there is like an actor there.
I thought he was great. I mean, yeah, he's I don't know the name off the top of my head, but he's from New Zealand.
Demetrius Schuster Kolomantangi. Yeah, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Shout out to him, man, because I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody in America has any idea who he is, and even after this movie, they don't know who he is really. But under all of that Predator makeup, he's speaking an entirely different language the entire time. So again, that does remind me for sure of Star Trek, Klingons.
And he did have like Elle Fanning back to back with him. Obviously, there was like rigging, and I know there's like shots of her with like basically in like a wheelchair type thing so she could roll, but like they're up on mountains shooting some of that stuff. So I liked that.
Yeah. I feel like it'd definitely be tolling kind of just going through the filming process of this movie for him specifically. And again, like he made me kind of feel connected to this character and feel kind of empathy and care about him as well. And I mean, obviously, he doesn't speak I don't think he speaks a line of English dialogue the entire time. So the fact that, it's evoking those feelings in me, I think is showing how successful, he was in his performance.
Yeah. I mean, it's really all in the eyes. And I think it is a testament to me, like, I think there's some makeup, but I think there's also just a lot of VFX as well. That's like doing, I think, the majority of this work. We can now get into our rankings of the performances, but I thought Elle Fanning was very good as well, kind of having to, play a woman with and without eyebrows, because, that's how she's That's how you know she's evil, Kody. She's bald. She doesn't have eyebrows. Where do you put it? I guess maybe it's blind ranking, but not really blind ranking because I'm gonna, say them to you, and you've seen all these movies. But you got Mickey 17, Badlands, Sinners, Alto Nights, which I know you haven't seen. The Monkey, people forget.
I haven't seen that either.
You haven't seen The Monkey yet?
I have not. I like Osgood Perkins as well.
Mr. Osgood Perkins.
I think it's on my fantasy team as well, so I definitely need to watch it. But
Elio, which I don't think you've watched.
No, also haven't watched.
Twinless, which you haven't watched, and then of course Superman. So we'll rank the ones you've seen.
Superman's probably the worst just because it's got, the least amount of screen time, for the other side. We don't really know his story. He doesn't get any dialogue. So, that's probably one of my more favorite movies out of the bunch, but just for the dual performance, it's probably on the lower end. It's tough after that. I would probably put Elle Fanning, second at the bottom as well. I don't think she's like, anything crazy good in this movie. Like, she's just solid. I think she's kind of average. Her evil side for sure. I didn't care or was like, oh, she's a really menacing villain or anything like that. Like, she's just a robot following orders. So I thought she was all right. And then what do we have left? Mickey 17, Sinners. Anything else? Those two?
I think those are the ones you've seen, right? Yeah.
I would put Mickey 17 next. I mean, Rob Pat is great, but I think just Michael B. Jordan really does nail kind of like you can specifically kind of tell the twins apart for the majority of the movie, which I think is super difficult. Not always something, I could do during Mickey 17, I don't think. But Rob Pat's awesome. Both amazing actors and both top tier stuff for sure.
Rob Pat does a freaky little voice, so that's fun for him.
I don't like his voice in that either.
His is the most committed performance, I'll say. It's a lot.
Hey, I respect the commitment, but yeah, the voice is stupid.
Where would Jim Carrey and Sonic go? Obviously, that's a 2024 film, but you slot that in.
He's going straight to the top, I think. I still stand by. That's one of his best career performances. Old man Carey dancing never fails.
Yeah, you love the dance, again. Especially.
I do love the dance. I love Sonic 3, so hard to hate it, I think. But yeah, the dance sequence is undefeated.
Let's talk corporate mergers, acquisitions, Fox, Disney. Hello and welcome back to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast. So we're two former roommates get corporate. I'm, of course, Korbin Zvokel, and that's Kody Webb. What do you remember about the time back in 2017 when it was first announced that 21st Century Fox was bought by Disney, which included the studio 20th Century Fox? It was announced in 2017 and then finalized in 2020. What do you remember about those days?
Yeah, I think at the time it was definitely a big bombshell when it did go down. And it does play into, movie studios eating each other and kind of just the dynamics that we're in Hollywood currently with, kind of just giants, running everything, and specifically Disney. I feel like they do want to own everything at some point, and they might, but hopefully not. But at the time, I mean, from my perspective specifically, I was definitely more thinking like from a comic book perspective of, oh shit, like they just bought the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Like that was my biggest, I think, fallout of, that's the franchise I look to for sure when I think of 20th Century Fox. So I thought that was a cool concept to kind of bring those characters into the already existing MCU. Kind of fast forwarding today on that, like the MCU kind of doesn't know where to go, and they're bringing back all these same X-Men actors. I don't really love what they're doing with it, if I'm being honest. But I think at the time there was definitely, general buzz and excitement, just specifically that everything would kind of be in the same universe, which is cool. But yeah, I think, back then and today, I don't love it. I wish that Disney wouldn't have bought them. I think we should break up Disney and get rid of most of their front people. So if you're listening, Iger, not a fan, buddy. But,
well, he's on his way out, Kody. He'll get there.
He's
been retiring for years. Even so that he retired and left and then came back and said, I want my job back. Fuck you, JPEG. What a guy. Obviously, what we are doing today is making a tier list of all the properties that Disney gained in this acquisition, specifically kind of like the franchise and the things that they've remade. And we're going to be judging it, based on Do we think that Disney's done a good job with this? Have they poorly, held its legacy? Have they made it better in the case of maybe Predator? But I do want to kind of talk about the history of this a little bit, because I was in the same spot, 17 years old when they announced this. First thing that I saw was, oh shit, X-Men, like this is the prime of the MCU. This is in a pre-Infinity War, pre-Endgame era. We're still waiting for that. We're excited for what's in the future, what could happen, not what was in the past. now we think about what was, right? And like you said, in hindsight, it's like, fuck, here we are 7-8 years later, and
What do we do now?
and really they haven't even still integrated them fully. But this does suck when you look at it from hey, I'm not a 17-year-old kid in high school anymore, like, and you consider the history of the studio and just the fact that like monopolies are bad. This is a net negative for films. And it's also very topical to talk about now, because something very similar is probably going to happen with Warner Brothers. It is seemingly getting sold off to someone. Recently I saw Netflix wants to buy it. There's Apple, there's of course Paramount could just absorb it. But it's relevant as relevant today as it was, then in 17 and 19 when this happened.
Yeah. It is sad to see kind of where we're at, where I feel like it's more of a streaming war versus like, just like
right. It's tech companies.
Yeah.
Netflix at the end of the day is a tech company. Apple obviously is a tech company.
Yeah.
Amazon.
It's the big giants all kind of fighting amongst each other. And everything we'll talk about today, is these franchise pictures that they took from 20th Century Fox and, are trying to continue on. I wish that kind of there were still, smaller studios that were relevant and kind of can pump out their own stuff, like A24. Obviously, they've gotten a lot bigger and have kind of, gone the more corporate route as well, I feel like recently. But there's just not a ton of stuff out there like that these days because, like you said, the monopolies are taking over. So I'm sad to see, the similar situation happening to Warner Brothers. Please, God, don't let Netflix or Apple, I guess. There's really no good choices for a buyer. But I think we're just going to continually see this until like a lot of these, big studios are, not really relevant anymore, which is unfortunate.
Today we have basically 5 major modern like studios, corporations: Universal, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Disney, Sony. Warner Brothers goes to Paramount, we basically lose one of those, right? If it goes to Disney, it's not going to go to Disney. If it goes to Universal Comcast, which is one of the possibilities. The thing with like Netflix or Apple, then it still kind of exists as a separate media entity a little bit. But like you said, those are primarily streaming focused entities. When this merger happened between Disney and Fox, like 4,000 people lost their jobs. And there's a shrinkage of production too. Like at the end of the day, like you said, less movies are being made. There's less competition. That's why there are monopoly laws. That's why, all these things exist. But it was sad to see a studio like 20th Century Fox, which was, I talk about the modern Big Five, was one of the original Big Five. You had MGM, Paramount, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and RKO Radio Pictures. RKO doesn't exist anymore. MGM's owned by Amazon. We lose Fox. We're about to lose Warner Brothers potentially. Like this is just film history. That as we say, film is not that old. These are companies that are 100 years old, have been around since the advent of talking pictures with like the Jazz Singer, and it is kind of sad to see these things go by the wayside because of corporate shrinkage and greed and, all this terrible stuff.
Yeah, it's always about money, obviously, but I agree completely. Like just the history, of 20th Century Fox and, the influential nature it had, on culture and just the industry in general, I think is massive. Even just the beginning song, of the logo, I love like when that comes on. Like I sing to that every single time for a 20th Century Fox movie. Absolute banger. You can roll it now. It is, like you said, it's just sad kind of we're seeing movie history and movie lore like this. It's probably going to be almost forgotten, in a couple decades, possibly. I mean, I think, obviously with the ones we'll talk about, they still run, the 20th Century Fox thing in front of them, or at least I would hope so. I think they did for Badlands, didn't they?
Well, yes, it's now 20th Century Studios. They've basically
Right.
removed Fox. So there was
Fox, yeah.
Fox Searchlight, which is, is there more like indie Oscar Pictures, much smaller kind of division of that. That's just Searchlight Pictures now. 20th Century Fox is now just Fox. They also bought FX, which, that was Fox shortened, but now we just call that FX.
I like FX.
Hulu was, parts of Hulu were included in this. They got like 70% of National Geographic at the time. But Fox is gone. And obviously, like, there's a weird connotation too, because like Fox is also like a cable channel that became a news source. The Rupert Murdoch of it all, he kept the news stuff, and when he sold this stuff off, which is weird. But the real person we can blame for all this is Donald Trump, because the first acquisition happened under his Trump presidency, under his first term. This wouldn't happen with a Democrat as a president. Realistically, just his FTC is more willing to let monopolies happen, to let these mergers happen. And now he's back in office, and that's why Warner Brothers is shopping a sale.
Yeah.
If someone, if Kamala had won, or whoever had won, Joe Biden, like, realistically, Warner Brothers probably wouldn't be getting sold. Obviously, there's a fucking million other things that are wrong with our country because of this, but like, this is just another result of that.
Yeah. And of course, his big push recently has been,
he wants
movies
it to be
made.
Paramount.
Well, that too, but he wants movies made in America.
Sure.
So I feel like he's got a lot of things that he doesn't.
We're putting tariffs on foreign films.
He really doesn't know what's going on, especially with the Epstein files. Clueless for some reason, but yeah, it is sad to see. And obviously, the politics 100% do play a part in it, of just like the economy that's set up and the influences behind that. Like you said, I think it is a direct result of what's happening to Warner Brothers, which really sucks. So hopefully, there'll be some changes in that aspect soon. Who effing knows? But yeah, it's a bit depressing to think about, I feel like.
Yeah, and now we have Mandalorian episodes, Predator movies. I don't know, it's crazy. So we have, I think it's 14 or 15 properties that we've identified here. We'll hit each one as we go through, but we're going to be doing a tier list style: S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier. I figured we'd kind of base this on the literal quality of the project that's produced, and also just kind of like the impact, the way it was released. Was it a streaming only Disney thing? Was it Hulu? Was it talked about? What's the Rotten Tomatoes score? There's a couple things here that each of us haven't seen, but I think we know enough about the ideas in the franchises. And we both did a little bit of research here, so we would talk fully about some awful projects. So you want to get into it, Kody?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited.
And I'm gonna pick randomly. Let's start with an interesting one that we've talked plenty about. Avatar. Of course, this is really less about Disney or Fox and more about James Cameron. He is the driving creative force behind these things. And he's kind of been in bed with Disney in an interesting way for a while, because Avatar Land has been at Animal Kingdom long before the acquisition even happened. What do you think about Avatar in a Disney world? Obviously, we have had Way of Water, and then we've got Fire and Ash coming this year. I mean, 2 movies that Fox, we had to wait 13 years and nothing happened over there.
Yeah, it was definitely worth the wait. And I think it was more of Jimmy just trying to sculpt this universe to make, however many movies he wants, to kind of, just have a through line storyline that would make sense, along with obviously all these crazy action set pieces, which is, the main reason he wants to make it. So, I mean, shout out to, Disney for, pumping all the money that he would want. I think they're expecting a big return. So it'll be interesting to see kind of specifically with this third movie, kind of if it doesn't perform as well as kind of the other two, what the reaction will be from the studio, I think would be pretty interesting. But I mean, Way of Water, I think it's fine. We've
done 2 episodes on Avatar movies if you really want to.
Yeah, go check out our full thoughts. I think me specifically, I'm not as big of a fan as for sure, the rest of the world, really, I think, who are, just box office wise, massive fans for sure. I will say, I think I never fully watched the trailer for, what's it, Fire and Ash? Is that what it's called? Yeah. Until, again, Badlands. It did play. I showed up to Badlands like 15 minutes into the previews, and I still saw, The Mandalorian and Avatar. So kind of tough. But the trailer actually kind of looks somewhat interesting. Of like it is building on the first two, versus like the first two are just like super standalone and don't really want to be a part of kind of a bigger story. So it seems like this third one is kind of using the characters from the first one and the second one together, which I think is fun because I would like to see some underwater stuff and kind of some crazy flying stuff and throwing some volcanoes, and I might be on board. So I am maybe a little bit excited to go see it. Not if it's like 4 hours, which it probably will be, but I think it's a moneymaker more than anything else, which I'm sure Disney was eyeing from the beginning.
Fire people excites me more than water people, I will say. And I agree. This one feels more of a legacy sequel to the original with stuff like Turok coming back, the big flying guy. And
Mhm.
I don't know. Zoe Saldana didn't play a huge role in Way of Water, which I think was a failure of that movie. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see if she'll be in more of this one, or if she's kind of taking it back. If all the adults are kind of a backseat and it's purely focused on those kids, Spider and Jake's son, whatever the
the
hell,
still
the
alive
one that's still alive. Yeah.
Yeah, the interesting
And little
trailer
Sigourney
dynamic.
Weaver.
Yeah, Jesus, I don't like her at all. But the spider trailer piece is like, oh, he can breathe, the air now. So it's like, oh wow, like humans kind of can evolve to live in this place, which I think is a cool concept. And then another thing too is like the fire people. It seems like they're going to be teaming up with Stephen Lang. So
Right.
it's
They're
kind of
the
like
bad guys. So
yeah,
bad avatars
it's
is
like a
fun.
planet civil
Bad
war,
Navi.
which I think is fun too. And then so we'll see. I'm sure story wise it'll definitely not be that great, but kind of maybe more on board, which is fun.
This is a tough one to place in the tier list, obviously, because I really don't think Disney has a lot to do with this.
No.
And I think I don't love the original Avatar. I think Way of Water is like very similar in the level of quality. So it's like if you think that movie's amazing, you probably think Way of Water is pretty amazing. So I don't know. I think this is like B for me, because they didn't do anything wrong. Like it's not worse than the original.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't bomb, the
And
franchise
we
before.
haven't gotten like an Avatar Disney Plus spinoff TV show or like a short, like really the property has stayed very pure because James Cameron has the real control here.
That is true. I mean, if they really wanted to make a ton of money, they could have tried and do all these spin-offs in between and for sure like get their buck. But they're doing the long play, which I think is smart, just based off the performance of the first two movies. Yeah, I would probably say it's in that BC tier for me. I think it's just not it didn't do anything different from the first one. Like it is such a safe sequel, I feel like. So maybe I'd place it in C. But for a franchise that's gonna be, 6, 7 movies, I think that makes sense, long term. So for once, and this is not something they're doing with Marvel. Like they are playing the long game at least, so I'll give them credit for that. But still not great, I don't think. I'd probably throw it in C, but I'd be fine with B tier.
C for Cavatar.
Give us an animated cat Avatar movie. That's going straight in ass.
That would be yes. I'd be into that.
I say we go with some apes. Another one that we've talked about a decent amount.
Recent.
Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I believe was released, last year now? Was it this year? I can't remember. Feels like not that long ago we did that episode, but I thought this was a fairly successful kind of relaunch of the franchise. Another thing they are doing is, making God knows how many movies, with this relaunch. So they are fully Disneyfying it for sure, putting it in franchise mode of, we're going to make one. Okay. Like it was okay. It was decent.
Didn't they? What did they announced? They had like 9 movies in the pipeline, right?
Yeah.
3 trilogies.
It was multiple trilogies, which is just like,
I mean,
okay.
Shout out to them. Good for them.
Yeah. But that is like Disney in a nutshell.
I love the apes, man.
You are a big apes guy.
I'm on board.
So I can't interesting about. Did you like this movie that much or no?
I did enjoy. I did enjoy it. I thought it had some interesting political connotations for our current society, but it was I liked the design of it, but I think the final conclusion is kind of lame.
It's mid. It's got a lot of good people in it too. I think the casting is really great.
And the VFX are incredible. I don't.
Oh yeah, the VFX are great too. But yeah, it's just like I don't know if I need all these apes movies back to back to back. And then my big gripe was that it's for sure like just too many human elements. For an apes movie set so far in the future, I would say let's focus on them. But that doesn't seem to be really the direction of the franchise.
Yeah, either. I mean the girl thing with the silent girl is kind of whatever. But
Well, right.
William H. Macy was fun.
I don't want, the female actresses to have to be playing a silent role the entire time, but like having the humans as an actual
that's just me.
Disney probably doesn't agree, to be fair. But like the fact that, we're so far into the future and, it's an ape society completely, but then also in the sequel, like it's going to be mainly focused on humans. It's like, what's the point? Like, are we making an apes movie in the future? Like, let's focus on the dang apes, I would think. But
it is kind of the Predator Badlands thing, though, a little bit, where they're like, what if we just made a movie about the apes? We had a little bit of human, I don't know.
yeah, I agree. But there's just like so much humans at the end where it's like, it's not about the apes anymore. There was never the point in Badlands where it's like, this isn't the Predators movie anymore. I feel like that's the difference.
Fair. Which is why it's probably better. The director of this film,
Mr. Ball, right? What's his name?
Wes Ball, yes.
Maze Runner.
Maze Runner guy. He had that film we talked about when we did the episode, Mouse Guard, that he was supposed to make. And that was a film that was a Fox movie that got canceled when the acquisition happened. And then this was kind of like the makeup of like, hey, we'll give you Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But another thing that we could have had Mouse Guard, Kody.
I still want it. I mean, Wes, if you're listening, yeah, you got to continue your passions, I think, and just sounds so crazy, so off the wall, so unique. Yeah, I am sad that got killed by Disney. It makes sense, from their perspective as a studio. It's not really a Disney movie, I don't think, is what that would be, but I really want to see it.
I think after the great trilogy that is, Rise, Dawn, and War, I got that right? Or no?
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah,
the Caesar
Rise.
trilogy.
I always forget Dawn and Rise, man.
They should be opposite, but they're not.
I get. I mean, they both just sound like the first movie is the problem.
They're the same thing,
really. But and then War, we love a good war. We love ape concentration camps. I think this is it. I think it was a good new direction to take the franchise. Like I commend it for going a little bit new. I do agree. Like in the end, it kind of takes a cop out, but like go into the future, go back to like feudalism society with these apes. Like I thought that was all fun. Something that I enjoy about the original movies is the way the ape culture begins to like mirror the history of humanity, and that's essentially what Kingdom's about.
Yeah, I actually agree completely with that point too. I think the direction of the franchise with Disney is a really good choice. Because like you said, like Dawn, I think is obviously the peak. I love that movie. But then War is just so dark and depressing. I think if you are going to reboot it, like they did, it's smart to kind of, make it family friendly, make it PG-13 and not have it be, a war, like the previous one was. So I think the direction for sure, was a good choice. Obviously with Disney, that was the way I feel like they were always going to go, making it more family friendly. But I think for the franchise in this, point, it did make sense to go that way.
Where would you put it on the tier list?
This is an interesting one. I mean, just from that point alone, I would maybe lean putting it in A. I think maybe the 9 movies could bump it down to B, but I think it's
or it could jump it up to S, man.
If they're good.
What if it's the greatest 9 movies ever? I mean, currently there are 9 there's 10 apes films already.
Yeah, there are a lot
total. So 9 more, I'm sure, why not? Or 8 more, I guess, right?
I mean, I'm here for the apes movies, but they just gotta, I mean, the next couple are key for sure. If the next couple are good, which again, like even Rise wasn't that good. It was just solid enough to launch a franchise, which I think is similar to Kingdom here. So I would be fine putting it in A. What's the quote?
What a wonderful day!
What a wonderful day! Shout out Kevin Durant. But for that quote, I think we could bump it up to A for sure.
I think A is a good spot for it as well. With potential to drop or fall for sure. With these next 8 films.
The next movie is for sure going to be key.
And I don't really know if we've gotten any news since the release of this of what the timeline is or the cast. I did see a funny clip on TikTok of the lead actor Owen Teague acting in another film. Basically, still acting like an ape, like walking into a room, like eating his food. Where he's like, and I'm like, oh, he's also hasn't lost Elvis. That's amazing.
Shout out Austin Butler, but yeah, I don't know. Is Wes Ball coming back for the next one too? I don't know if he was.
I think so. I think it was,
Okay. I hope so.
his
I hope he gets more
grand design.
opportunities. Yeah, heck, I mean, it's his story. Let him tell it. So I'm on board with that. I think he's a fun director, but also do Mouse Guard at some point.
2027 release is what we're looking at as of now.
I mean, you got to start pumping them out if you got you got them all in waiting. So the VFX crew, get to work, boys. No sleep.
Let's do a quick one here. Home Sweet Home Alone, which is a movie neither of us have seen.
No.
But I feel safe because I haven't seen it and felt not compelled to watch it. Probably throwing it down an F tier. Our compadre Carter Sims, I know when the movie came out, instantly went and made an episode, a solo pod on the RCR, just talking shit about this film. It's got a fun cast, but like Home Alone, the original, is one such a huge blockbuster. It's got one of the most iconic kid performances of all time. It's got great villains, especially, you've got like Joe Pesci, Chris Columbus, not a bad director, John Williams music. And this is just like straight to Disney Plus slop. Like, this is, to me, like, if you were like, what's a streaming film? This is that. I don't even know if it actually has like a legacy connection to Home Alone, but it's just like a bad twist on what they could do with that. You got to bring back Macaulay.
Oh, 100%. And I completely agree. It's just like, there's no point for this even to be in the Home Alone franchise, really. Like, you could make it a different title in a different thing, with a similar concept, but it doesn't have to be attached to Home Alone. The only reason they did that is to try to, capitalize on that legacy sequel feel, I guess. But like you said, I mean, the cast is interesting. I like the little kid from Jojo Rabbit. I think he's fun. It looked like there was some other people I knew in it as well, of Ellie Kemper from The Office, Mikey Day from SNL. So seems like at least there was some fun creative element to it. I've not seen it either, like you had said. It would be a fun one to check out for this upcoming Christmas season, just to hate watch it, which I do like to do that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, especially the first two movies for me, I love the first two Home Alone movies. Like, those are Christmas movies I pretty much rewatch every year. All the elements you said, Macaulay Culkin's so iconic. The score, so good for both movies. And it just has, like, that Christmas family feel. I think that's Christopher Columbus's, like, his specialty for sure, is, the family.
Right after he sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
Yeah, not that one. We don't like that one. And also, I don't like Pixels, so I don't really like Christopher Columbus. But Home Alone movies is definitely his peak, I think. And this is just unnecessary.
Sorcerer's Stone, decent film. It's all right.
Haven't seen it. But,
haven't seen Harry Potter?
I haven't seen any of the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, God,
Big blind spot. Yeah. But yeah, for me, I'd put this at the bottom, even though, we haven't seen it. It's got to be hot garbage, I would think.
You do support trans women, so that makes a lot of sense, Cody. I see you stand solidarity.
Yeah, I'm not a big J.K. Rowling guy, so don't need her. Yeah, fuck her. Not watching her movies.
Apparently, I will say I did some Googling. The oldest child, Buzz McAllister, like the bully one, the asshole kid, he makes an appearance in Home Sweet Home Alone.
So it is a legacy sequel.
So it is connected. He's a police officer.
Did not make our cut in our legacy sequel episode, which is sad. But I do like Buzz. I mean, he's definitely a dick.
But that shouldn't be the connection. Being like, oh yeah, that the oldest kid is a cop now, and he makes a kid. Like, no.
should be the old man, I think, for sure. But yeah,
can you guess the Rotten Tomatoes score of this film?
I was gonna ask that. I'd guess 15%.
It has a 15% on the tomato meter and a 13% audience score. So even the audience hated it.
That's when you know it's bad. Yeah, usually audience, I feel like, even if it's really bad, like, you're gonna have some people who still have fun with it, but it must not be very fun. So maybe I won't check it out now after hearing that.
Easy F tier though, I think, right?
Oh yeah, I think that's an auto F for sure.
Sorry, director Dan Mazur, my friend. It has a 1.4 on Letterboxd.
I'm sure he hates it too. I'm sure he's not a fan, but
let's jump over to a biggie. Let's talk some Marvel here, and let's do the one that I think is I guess maybe the best. Let's do Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
There's three main: Fantastic Four, X-Men, Deadpool. Those are the big things that Marvel gained in this Disney Fox acquisition. And Deadpool and Wolverine as a film is interesting because it is almost an ode to and kind of a in memory of, rest in peace to the previous Fox universe. Here are all these characters that are probably not going to follow over, and maybe it'll just be, Deadpool, Logan. Now we're seeing, all these names announced in Avengers Doomsday. It's hard to say what that really meant, but I think I didn't love this movie, but I preferred it to the other Deadpool films. That was my take.
And I think it is an interesting thing because I think Deadpool as a character and as a franchise was one of Fox's like more successful and more surprising kind of franchises.
And an antithesis to what Disney typically is.
Yeah, that hard R, ultra violent, Ryan Reynolds cussing out of, crazy like a storm. So I do think it was an interesting acquisition from Disney, and I think they played it fairly well, of kind of keeping the character to its core, keeping that hard R rating, and then also at the same time playing it safe by pairing him up with Hugh Jackman, one of the most beloved characters from the Fox universe, probably the most beloved, if we're being honest. So overall, I am definitely mixed on this movie as well. I like the actors and I like the characters. I think it for sure does focus maybe a bit too much on trying to integrate it into the MCU, and it doesn't really care about the past Deadpool movies at all, if we're being honest, especially like, Wade's relationship with his girlfriend. It's really just setting up kind of Deadpool to be in the MCU going forward. So it's kind of a lot of setup and not the best execution, I don't think, especially on a rewatch.
Especially visually. Like, it just looks like fucking shit. It looks so bad. And that's, to me, like the Disneyfication of it. I think I don't love the original Deadpool movies, but they at least have a little bit of substance to them.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, for sure, like that last battle with all the cameo heavy people, it is just really, really bad visually. Like, I do agree. I think they could have done so much better with those returning characters and kind of their action. But it was cool to see like Channing Tatum make an appearance. Like, I think there are fun cameos and fun moments that, we have been waiting a very long time. Even Deadpool and Wolverine fighting, I think is really fun and nostalgic for those reasons. But yeah, overall, I'd say it's pretty mid. Especially being, I mean, I guess Multiverse of Madness, I guess is kind of the first inclusion of a Fox character, but like this is the first real like big movie that kind of came from Fox characters. So I think it's a fine starting point, but for sure you can see kind of the flaws of Disney's involvement in a movie like this.
And there's also just like the, Logan of it all, where it's trying to be like, well, we're not disrespecting that movie, but also, Hugh Jackman's back and that wasn't his. Like, I don't know. And now we're just going to get him. To me, the thing that was exciting about them acquiring Fox was that we were going to get the X-Men in the MCU, but not the X-Men we've seen. We were going to get new X-Men. We were going to get new versions of these characters. And what this movie was, and especially the fact that it made $1 billion, was just kind of proving the point of like, people just want this nostalgia bait bullshit. And as we'll talk, maybe we can, jump into X-Men after this. Like, it seems they're more focused on the old rather than anything new.
Yeah. I think the problem with that is 100% Spider-Man No Way Home and the incredible success of that movie. I think for sure the right thing would be to reboot the X-Men characters completely. Maybe keep Ryan Reynolds. That's fun. But yeah, we don't need Hugh Jackman to be Wolverine in the MCU, which is probably what they're going to fucking do, unfortunately. And yeah, I think it is just because, it is a completely different situation with Spider-Man of bringing back Garfield and Maguire is really, really awesome. But like now I feel like they're going to do the same thing for all of the existing, properties that they purchase, especially Fox included. So, and that's what we're going to see obviously in Doomsday with, the X-Men coming back. But like you said, I mean, the Fox universe, there were definitely hits, there were definitely misses with the X-Men, but it did have such a good conclusion with Logan, with Charles Xavier's character, with Hugh Jackman, finally finishing his run as Wolverine, which, I mean, Fox milked the hell out of him as well, in every single movie. So to have that conclusion kind of ruined and then him coming back and technically playing like a different, variant or version of this character, it just seems unnecessary. And although Hugh Jackman is great, and I love Hugh Jackman, again, just like the direction they went with it, it was more of a money making thing, I think, than like an actual, we want to put the best story forward. It was definitely more about money and just they wanted $1 billion, which they got it, to be fair.
Sean Levy got a fucking Star Wars movie because of it. So good for him.
Which is another negative. So yeah, not excited for that.
Where does this go, do you think? Because it's a tough one, because I do think in general, like it could have been a lot worse. Like they're and maybe, like I said, I think this might be the best of the Marvel Fox integration.
Oh, interesting. I would say there's another property for sure, especially on rewatch, that I enjoyed more. I would say C tier, in that range for me.
And in the Avatar area, I think is fair.
Again, not offensive, but just directionalized for the franchise. I don't agree on most of it.
All right, let's talk X-Men, because this is an interesting one, because it's everything that Fox or everything that Disney has done with X-Men. So first of all, they released the film New Mutants, which was a Fox movie that they basically got in the actual site. It was already made. And then COVID happened, which is another weird thing of happening right at the start of this and forcing a lot of things to Disney Plus. So that movie, you can't fault them too much, but technically it was like one of the very first movies they released, period, as Fox Disney, as 20th Century Studios. And then you have X-Men 97, which I think is actually a pretty successful use of these characters, them just, rebooting a show from the 90s, but kind of continuing the storyline on. And then, of course, their appearance in Multiverse of Madness, Charles Xavier showing up.
I think it's a good point too with New Mutants. They didn't make this movie.
That's really a Fox. You put the blame on Fox, but they did release it.
And also, I think New Mutants is very much overhated. It's not the worst thing in the world, people. It's definitely not good. It's not even really an X-Men movie. It's just kind of a random movie about some kids, and a bear, in kind of this facility. But
and just reshot to hell, and like you can tell the tone changed a bunch of times.
Anya Taylor-Joy's magic, though, perfect casting. I mean, you got Maisie Williams, you got Charlie Heaton there, so I think the cast is pretty fun as well. But yeah, as a movie, just very, very unsuccessful, I think, in general. But it was cool. At least they decided to release it. Again, during COVID, it was kind of like why not? There's no point not to. But yeah, that's pretty far down there. I think probably. I would say D, F, depending on where you're.
It's funny because that movie released in theaters.
Yeah.
In like August of 2020. If they thought it was good, they would have put it on a streaming service. But
yeah,
they were just like, let's just get this shit out because we need to get rid of it.
Which I don't blame them, because it was in just recess and hoopla for pretty much like a decade. It feels like. So really, really weird kind of just backstory with that movie and how long it took to release. And then continuing with the bad, I don't love Patrick Stewart's involvement in Multiverse of Madness. You get a cool record drop moment where it's the when he like comes in front of the Illuminati. Like, that's cool, just nostalgia bait. But I mean, he's in the movie for what, like 15 minutes tops. Just gets killed by Wanda, which everybody does in the Illuminati, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, that movie as a whole, I've talked about multiple times of my dislike of the script. Not really Raimi's fault. He came in late. Definitely Feige's fault, and kind of just, everyone in the writing room, whatever the hell they were thinking. But again, that was 100% just nostalgia bait of, I mean, you could have anybody in that Illuminati, and we just got Fox, so got to throw in, one of the X-Men. Fuck it, let's throw in Patrick Stewart. Like, it's just lazy, I feel like.
Well, and honestly, like, I wouldn't even mind that. Like, I don't hate it as a cameo if that was it. Like, if they were like, this is just a fun cameo for Multiverse of Madness, and also, by the way, it's called Multiverse of Madness, so we're gonna do a bunch more like this, and this isn't the only thing. But the fact of it being the primary like thing of interest of the Illuminati, and obviously it wasn't just him. You had Krasinski, you had Black Bolt, you had
shout out Krasinski. Feel bad for him.
Monica Rambeau. But when it was like the Illuminati is the main cameo selling point of this film, and hey, by the way, we're bringing him back for another fucking movie in Avengers Doomsday. Like, okay, I don't need to see that.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of my biggest flaws with the movie too, is like if we had all of these other universes in the multiverse of madness, like that would be fine just to be a one-off cameo. You know, say Wanda kills them in 10 minutes and then they go on to like three other cameo verses. Like that would be a lot better, I think. Also Black Bolt is pretty badass. I really like him in that movie. But yeah, overall, I think very, very unsuccessful for that. And I agree too with Doomsday. It's like I don't know if we need to bring back like this OG core X-Men. You know, I love Nightcrawler. I love that we're having Alan coming back, but it's just like at their age, you know, Mystique, Rebecca Romaine. It's just like I don't understand the point of this other than, you know, they're all gonna fight each other and they're all gonna die, obviously. Um, so that'll be cool to see, I guess, but that's
Are
definitely
they
the
going to
thing.
be like the initial bad guys, you think? Or are they going to be like the main heroes of the film? I don't know.
I just think I don't know. I think everybody's going to be fighting everybody basically, which I feel like is more that should be more of the plot for Secret Wars.
Right.
So I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, but I think they will for sure die. If I'm being honest, and like out of all the things that's been announced for Doomsday, I think that is my least favorite. I guess it's cool to see James Marsden come back just because he's he had such a bad run as Cyclops. You know, like obviously they're going to put him in his X-Men 97 suit. Like I think he'll have good fan moments that he deserves. But it's just like I don't see the point of bringing back, you know, Patrick Stewart and the whole team.
X-Men 97, though, speaking of that, the animated show, I do think is the best thing they've done with the X-Men. You know,
Yeah.
again, it's legacy sequel crap because it's like a continuation of a show from the 90s. But I didn't watch the show from the 90s, and I was able to watch the first season of this and really enjoy it. The music, talking about music, fucking bangs. Title sequence is so much fun. And it does also kind of do the thing where it's like, oh, we're not going to have Professor X here, but then shit, we need to like bring him in, bring him back very quickly, which I think is unfortunate. I think some of the other like tertiary, secondary characters in the X-Men are more interesting and fun. What they do with Storm, I think, is also a little strange, or she's just kind of like off on her
Yeah.
own, hanging out with that guy without powers.
Forge. Yeah.
But like it's good, you know, classic Sentinel stuff, you know, good X-Men stuff. Well, it feels new, it feels original, where even though it's a continuation of a thing, it's not, you know, so invested in its legacy. Whereas like everything else X-Men is, we can't make anything new.
Yeah. And I think the idea
It's
of
really just the art style and like that we
yeah.
picked up in the same place as the previous movies. It's not obviously, you know, the same actors or really even the same characters.
Yeah. And the animation style I think is perfect for the X-Men just because of all the crazy, you know, wacky powers and also the powerfulness of these mutants is off the chain. So that gives you kind of the freedom to kind of show those insanity of how powerful, you know, like Magneto and Rogue and Gambit. Like I feel like those are really hard characters to do in live action just because of how powerful they are. I completely agree. This is the best thing that Disney has done with the X-Men. It's a really fun thing too where, you know, the show was just canceled. Like it didn't have a chance to finish properly. So I think this is something that is cool that they brought it back for kind of all the OG fans. I haven't seen the entire original series. I've seen some of it. I just love X-Men animation in general too. Shout out X-Men Evolution, which is a really underrated animated show that I love. There's another one, Wolverine and the X-Men, which only had one season, I believe. That I think even that's pretty solid. But yeah, I love X-Men 97. I'm excited they're doing another season. Like you had said, maybe the bringing back of Professor X isn't completely necessary, but like the arcs that they had with, you know, Magneto and Gambit specifically, were really, really awesome. And then of course you can always go off and have, you know, the wacky side characters for their kind of one-off episodes. But I thought from an animation perspective, from a story perspective, like this was top tier stuff for sure.
And it was actually, I feel like for me, like the first time, like I thought Cyclops was interesting. Like I think the
Yeah.
Marsden Cyclops is pretty meh.
Oh, I mean, Cyclops has been butchered in live action for so long. He is one of the coolest and one of those badass X-Men characters, which obviously in the OG trilogy it was just not the case with kind of, you know, his writing and, you know, he's just a third wheel to Wolverine's, you know, ploy with Jean. So I think they nailed his characterization for sure, which was overdue.
Where do we put this though on the tier list? This is tough. Is it better than Deadpool?
I'd throw it an S. I would 100% throw.
But I mean X-Men as a whole.
X-Men as a whole,
multiverse.
we're not we're not divvying them up. Oh
No,
man.
no, no, no.
Well, that's
What has
tough
Disney
then.
done with X-Men as a property?
I mean, for me personally, like I said, I'd throw New Mutants probably in D, and then I'd throw Multiverse and Madness for sure in F. So I think just evening it out, I'd put it in. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I'd say C, but
I actually don't hate I don't hate Multiverse of Madness as a movie just like by
I
itself.
hate it.
I don't
I
hate
hate
it.
it.
As
It's
much as
bad.
you clearly do. I don't like the Illuminati stuff. Like I just said. I agree. X-Men 97 would be S or A for me. New Mutants, I don't even think we should really consider it. Let's just throw it in B because
Okay.
I think the 97 puts it a little bit above Deadpool and Wolverine. And honestly, as a movie, I think Multiverse of Madness might be a better movie than Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, my big thing with Multiverse of Madness is just like I don't know, it's mostly the writing around like America Chavez. And kind of just like the motivations of Doctor Strange. Like it is more of the story stuff. Like everything visually with Raimi, I think is really cool. And
Yeah, I
again,
mean,
they
he
definitely
outdirects
they
Sean
butcher
Murphy.
they butcher Wanda very clearly as well, but it's not that bad. I kind of just had personal hate for it. So I think B is a perfect spot because I think X-Men 97, the X-Men content in Multiverse of Madness isn't massive, and the New Mutants is kind of it's just there. Like it's not that bad. So I think, putting it in B as a franchise is definitely a good move.
I do think that once Doomsday comes out, this will be we would have to be like, yeah, this is probably F as a whole. But because like I
Hopefully
said,
not,
it's
but
short in the runtime of Multiverse of Madness. It's really riding the wave of 97 for sure.
as long as
Let's
if they don't butcher Alan Cumming, if they butcher him, it's
I'm a
going straight.
Nightcrawler. We're both Nightcrawler fans. We love that
Oh yeah,
X2 thing. I don't know.
goat X-Men character for sure.
I was reading some comics actually a couple months ago. I was getting into comics a little bit, and they're doing the latest Ultimate run is like the new thing for Marvel. It's a different
Hmm.
universe, a new Ultimate universe. And it's all this crazy stuff for like this character of the Maker, which is like an alternate version of Reed Richards, goes back and changes the timeline and prevents a bunch of people from becoming superheroes, and things are all slightly different. So Wolverine is the Winter Soldier
Ooh,
in this universe, which is a really cool concept.
that's fun.
But in the first issue, he goes and just murders Nightcrawler, which I thought was really
Oh,
unfortunate. First or second issue, it's super early in the run. That really
what the
disappointed me.
hell? Yeah, that's tough.
And he's brainwashed as the Winter Soldier, but it's really
Right.
unfortunate. It's like, damn, these characters are gone.
Yeah, I mean, because their ultimate versions, I feel like would be pretty sick. So that is
Right.
disappointing. Yeah.
Um, Fantastic Four. Let's finish out the Marvel of it all
Yeah.
here. I think this movie is fine. I do like. It is the best Fantastic Four movie. Like it is a successful Fantastic Four movie.
For sure.
When you consider everything Fox did with it, so that's good.
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say is like just the fact that Disney took this very piss poor franchise, if we're being honest, of the first time they tried it around, it was just okay. Like at least they tried to go the comedic way, the fun romp. Very unsuccessful, obviously, but I think it just at the time in the mid 2000s, like that's kind of like the worst era you could try to make a Fantastic Four movie, if we're being honest, just with the technology and kind of the writing that superhero movies were used to. It was not going to work really in any form. And then of course, the Fan Four Stick, at least they attempted to reboot, I guess, with a fun young cast. Obviously, that was more of just studio versus director and kind of an argument there, which was led it to being one of the worst movies of all time. So I do like that, you know, early on, MCU was going to tackle and try and make Fantastic Four good. I did rewatch it this week in prep for this, and on rewatch, I did enjoy it. I think I enjoyed it more than in theaters for sure. But for me, like my favorite character for sure is Julia Garner's Silver Surfer. I think that chase scene of her surfing through the fireballs. When I think that scene with the black hole is the best scene in the movie for sure. So I thought everything with her was really great. And then the dynamic of the Fantastic Four is pretty solid too. Like I think the casting, Vanessa Kirby was really fun, and she's really powerful, obviously at the end. Pedro's okay. Joseph Quinn impressed me more this time around. Same with Ebon as well. I liked his performance more this time around. But I think overall this is a pretty successful job from Disney. It's hard to start somewhere with this franchise too. It'll be interesting to see what they do with them going forward. But I thought as an intro, it was pretty solid.
It is a little speed runny, where it's like
Yeah,
first movie we've already got Nathaniel Richards born, but it's because they're like, we need Doomsday to be the next movie that
yeah.
comes out, and we
And
need
they've
this powerful
they've
character to
they've
be.
been the Fantastic Four for 4 years already, and they speed run that in the first 10 minutes. So I think
Which,
I might.
because we've seen 2 origin movies, and
Yeah.
I don't want to see that, but maybe they could fight John Malkovich. I don't know.
Oh, I would like to see that. But yeah, like I think that's for sure. Like on a rewatch, it is much better, just because the first time you're trying to keep up with, who even these characters are compared to the ones we've seen in the past. But once you kind of let them settle a bit, I think like I wish they were doing a sequel before Doomsday, if I'm being honest. But like the casting is still good, and the visuals I think were the standout.
The style and substance of this movie is so fantastic. um, but just like the fact that it's a unique world that feels different from so much of what the MCU has done for the past
Yeah,
like 15 years. It really does stand out as something unique. I think it's such a dour and depressing movie, and I think Joseph Quinn is terrible. Like it's just awful
really.
casting.
Oh wow,
Yeah, it just does not work for me at all.
I
Julia
agree.
Garner, like that's a cool twist on it. I like the practical Galactus stuff. Ralph Ineson is really menacing. The rest of the family, like even Vanessa Kirby for sure, both great. Pedro Pascal is playing it very straightly. I just wish it was, a little more fun.
No, I agree with that too. Tonality. I think for sure the Fantastic Four, they really lean into that fun and silliness, which they had elements of that, like the cartoon kind of aspect, and the way that society views them until they turned on them, which I thought was kind of dark, was a good portrayal. But that is funny. I think Joseph Quinn. I agree. Like I don't think he's good casting, but I thought he was still solid. It is weird, like how his career, I feel like, kind of came into fruition after Stranger Things. But like somebody like Zachary Montgomery, like he's done nothing after Stranger Things, and I feel like he's much better in the show. So
They like
not sure.
Englishmen more than Australians, I guess.
I guess so, but I'm not sure how Joseph Quinn became a big thing. But I think he's just mid overall, really.
um, Dacre Montgomery is in the new Gus Van Sant film that's
Ooh.
coming out later this year, I think, and it's set in Indianapolis, Cody. So
Ooh, hey, big ups. But yeah, I wish he was in more. I think his dramatic stuff in Stranger Things was pretty dang good. So give me more Daiquiri. All I know him from movie wise is like Power Rangers, which is really bad. But me personally, I'd throw Fantastic Four an A. I think maybe you're a little bit lower on it.
yeah, I wouldn't put it on Planet of the Apes level. And also just like the post credit scene in terms of like the future of franchise building, like
Yeah,
come on.
that is fair. Oh, it doesn't even. It is a very strange post credit scene as well, where it's like,
And also, to be fair, the first featuring of the Fantastic Four was in the film The Marvels, which we have not mentioned. The post credit scene of that.
is it? What do you mean? The
Their ship
Fantastic
shows
Four?
up, right? Isn't
Oh,
that in
right.
the
Oh,
Marvels?
Thunderbolts. Sorry.
Thunder.
It's
Oh, sorry.
yes.
God.
I was like, Beast was at the end
Right.
of.
That's we didn't talk about that for X-Men. So
True.
yeah, I
But that
get
is
my
an X-Men. We forgot about that X-Men tie. Yeah, Beast is in Multiverse of Madness as well, randomly. But yeah, that's true. They do show up at the beginning of or at the end of Thunderbolts. So, but that doesn't really make sense as well because I thought at the end of Thunderbolts it was setting that up as Galactus ate their world, so now they're fleeing. But obviously
well, that's what they wanted you to think.
that was not the case. So that was kind of sad. But, that's a good point because I don't really love that. I guess I don't even know if it is Downey in the post credits. I would assume so, but like, why does he have
I
his
don't think
mask
so.
off?
No,
Why does he have
it's
his mask
definitely
on?
not him.
I don't fucking know, but I think for that, I'd push it maybe down to B.
Yeah, let's throw it on the same level as X-Men.
I like that. I think that's fair.
And then I was talking high praise of Deadpool, and here it is below both of them. But whatever.
What do we have Deadpool at? C?
C. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fair.
I think that's right. It's just mid. It's not good, but it's also not bad.
Yeah, and I do have it rated lower than both Fantastic Four and X-Men just as films. Or Multiverse of Madness and First Steps are both better movies, I think.
I think I have
than
Multiverse at
D&W.
like I don't know what I have 2 stars maybe. I have it pretty low. I think I have New Mutants maybe higher. which is a bold take.
Yikes. White Men Can't Jump, Kody. I know you watched this movie
Ooh.
this week. It's a remake, right?
Yes. Ooh, I would call it a remake. Yeah.
There's like Woody Harrelson doesn't show up, right? Like,
no, no Harrelson, no Snipes. I actually haven't seen the first one in a very long time, so maybe there's like a weird side character that I
something
didn't
you
catch.
didn't realize. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's definitely its own standalone for sure. Reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it. Really, it's kind of similar premise. It's not really though. It's just really
White Men
bad.
Can't Jump. Isn't that the premise?
Well, not. I mean, I guess like Jack Harlow has bad knees.
I've never seen the original nor this film, so I'm letting you do all the work here. It's about like hustling, right?
Yeah. So the first one, in a sense, is like Woody Harrelson is more of kind of the hustler, and then Wesley Snipes is kind of just like he was this prospect that kind of didn't pan out and stuff. That's kind of just like the basic overlying, and that is pretty much the premise of this one too. You got Jack Harlow and Sinqua Walls. So Sinqua, like the main story does focus on him a good deal of, he was this top prospect. It's kind of like a Ball family thing where, his dad was super involved with the media and all that stuff. He bought him a Mercedes, got him a Mercedes loan, in high school because he was going to be, this big thing in the NBA. But then kind of like the pressure got to him and he kind of pulled like a Ron Artest in high school and like jumped into the stands and started fighting people because they were, talking crap to him during the game. So that's kind of his arc, which I thought was somewhat interesting. But then on the other side of it, it's just like Jack Harlow. I don't know what he's doing, if I'm being honest. He's just he used to play at Gonzaga, but both of his knees are torn up now. So now what he does is he like trains people, but also at the same time he goes out, to pick up games and literally just shit talks them until they play him one-on-one. And then when he beats them, he takes his money and stuff. But then the overall premise is they team up eventually and play in this 2v2 tournament. But the first game that they're in it, they lose. So then they go on to another tournament where it's just Sinqua Walls, and then Jack Harlow is just like the coach and the alternate of the team. So it doesn't really follow the storyline of the first movie too much, just because like they lose immediately when they play in this tournament. So it's like, what was the point? And yeah, like Jack Harlow is terrible at it, if I'm being honest. And it really doesn't have anything to say about basketball.
Not a future as an actor.
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's fun. It's like a similar-esque movie to Hustle, I guess, which we've talked about in the past with Sandler and stuff. Like it incorporates some cool, basketball cameos. Tyler Hero's in it at the end, which I think is fun. But like from a basketball perspective, it doesn't have anything to say. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, him and Jack Harlow are boys, obviously, but
he's got a whole song.
Basketball-wise, it's not interesting. Just character and storyline-wise, I don't think it's interesting at all. Like there's fun comedic moments where Jack Harlow's the only white guy at the barbecue, so you have like some fun stuff with that, I guess, just making fun of Jack Harlow, which I don't even know if that was intended. But yeah, I would say overall, I mean, this is clearly a streaming reboot, just like bad quality altogether. So definitely was not a fan.
D tier, F tier, what do you think? I mean, straight to Hulu release, we gotta commend it for that. They didn't put this shit in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, Tiana Taylor is in it, and I do like her. So for her inclusion, I think we have to put it in D. We can't say it's the worst of the worst, but I mean,
future Oscar nominee Tiana Taylor.
I like her a lot. I think she's underrated, but she's not given anything to do really. She's Sinqua Wall's love interest, and she has some good emotional beats. Standing by him, believing in him. He is this great athlete, so it's pretty easy to do. But yeah, she was good at least. So I would say D tier.
And when you Google her, I think the picture that comes up has to be. Oh no, it's from the All's Fair premiere. Never mind. Have you heard about this? The new Ryan Murphy.
I didn't realize she was in
4% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Kim K, right?
Right. Yeah. I think she's in the back of the cast. You've got your Naomi Watts and your Glenn Closes. They're taking the real heat.
Really strange show. I kind of want to watch it just to hate watch it again. Sort of Home Alone, but yeah, I don't know how it got made.
Ryan Murphy, man, he's the most powerful man in television. That's how.
Thanks for listening to the episode. You can follow the rest of our happenings over here at Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at KHAP Podcasts, KHAPODCAST. Please follow us on Spotify, give us a rating, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow along for more.
Let's move on to one that I watched, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And I just want to ask you, Kody, do you have any relationship to the books, the original film?
I do. The books growing up, I did read as a kid. I think I read.
You were a bit of a wimpy kid.
First one, Rogic Rules. I read the dog one, Dog Days, whatever it's called. I think I stopped about after that. And then I saw the original movie, which is just perfect casting, I think, all around. Shout out Steve Zahn, who is also in the Night at the Museum movie that we'll talk about later. He replaced Owen Wilson. But so yeah, I haven't seen this continuation. Or was it a TV show or is it a movie? What was even made with
so
this?
It's like 60 minutes, but it is a animated film, CG animated film adaptation of the first book. They have done the first 3 books already and released them in a short couple years. The 4th one I think is on the way. I only watched the first, and I will say it is like it's written by Greg Kinney, the screenplay even. So it's like a true adaptation. It is very direct. In watching it, it really makes you realize like how shitty of a character Greg Heffley is. He's not really like redeeming. And I think it works because one, animation, I think, is the format that makes sense for this. Even though the animation is cooked and I'd prefer it would just be like 2D flat, traditional like the book is. And They do even do some sequences that are similar to just like animating book pages, which are more fun than anything else. But it is like, because it's only 60 minutes, it doesn't feel the need to like pack in all this like extra shit. Like it's just a direct adaptation. Like it doesn't feel the need like the original movie to flesh things out too much, which could maybe be a detriment or, a positive for this. I think my reading, I made it to like the 5th book. You forgot the Last Straw. That's the 3rd book. But
yeah,
at this point, they have made 20. There's 20 Diary of a Wimpy Kids.
That's the thing. So. Like, he didn't know when to stop, I feel like, when writing it. Which again, probably all of them have made big money. But yeah, so it is like, this seems like more of just like, a direct, an accurate adaptation of the book, which I think that's all right. Maybe I would enjoy it just for like nostalgia purposes, if anything else.
It's not good. Like, it's not a good movie, but also it's like, is Diary of a Wimpy Kid a good book? Not really. Like, yeah, no. I ate that shit up, but if I go back now, it's kind of fucking a trash story about a loser kid and not even like a loser in the sense that he's just an asshole to everyone around him, right? He's your classic self-centered male protagonist. And do we need more of those in society? Probably not. But if you're gonna do Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I think this is probably the right way to do it. Just Disney Plus 60-minute animated movies,
Yeah, I think what kind of drew me into the franchise as a whole as a kid was like, it is just very different, like format wise, from any other book that you would read. So I think that's the draw for kids of like, it just feels like you're flipping through kind of a notebook versus actually having to sit down and kind of read a book, which can be kind of grueling. So I think that's what stood out to me. But yeah, it seems, and this is like Disneyfication to the T of like, they're going to try and grind out as much money from this as the author is, which is fair. So yeah, I would think, do you think they're going to make all 20 books? Do you think they're going to stop at some point, or?
Well, it's an interesting thing of like, clearly this first movie got enough clicks on Disney Plus to where they were like, let's make a like they're greenlighting them. So clearly they're successful enough. I have no way to gauge though. Like, I don't actually know, because I can look at like how many people have logged this on Letterboxd, but also that's not the fucking core audience for the Diary of a Wimpy Kid film.
That's like the anti-audience.
So I have no idea.
Like. Where would you want to rate this then?
I think it's probably down in D tier.
Okay. I was gonna say, do you think it's an F or do you think it's not that bad?
No, I don't think it's quite that bad, but I don't know. Maybe I could go C tier, honestly.
Oh wow, okay. I think D would be a fine spot. Do we have anything in F yet?
Home Sweet Home Alone.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. It's probably not at that just disrespectful to the overall franchise as that. So I would be fine with D, unless you want to put it in C.
If it was fully 2D animation, like direct from the page, I'd probably be C tier. But
Gotcha.
because they do a weird like 3D CGI that kind of looks like shit, um, I'm gonna go D. And also Roderick is not, and I know he's not like in the first book a lot, but like he is like one line in this movie. So
Oh, wow.
sure, I could go watch Roderick Rules and I'd probably get more Roderick, but not enough Roderick in this movie.
Yeah, I back that. Roderick's definitely my favorite character. So that's disappointing to hear.
Let's talk another straight to streamer animation, and this is Ice Age. So I didn't even know this existed until I was doing the research for this episode. There's a film called Adventures of Buck Wild, which is Simon Pegg's character from like the fourth Ice Age film. They did a spinoff. This is interesting. It was in development prior to the acquisition as a television show. And then Disney did the Moana thing of like, let's just take this television show and make it a movie. I didn't watch it, so I can't speak too highly of it. But I think just the fear shack that I didn't know it existed. Because I knew about some of these other ones on this list, even though I hadn't seen them. I had no clue this was even a thing.
Yeah. I'd never heard of this either. Is Buck Wild, is he one of like the possum guys? Or
Yes.
I don't even okay. Because I think, Simon Pegg, just his voice,
I mean, it's impressive that they got him to come back. It's not,
Yeah.
A Night of a Museum thing where it's a bunch of different people. It's
Facts.
Simon Pegg.
Which I like that. And the Ice Age franchise as a whole, I feel like it's just kind of every new thing they pump out, it kind of just gets worse and worse, in my opinion. So the fact that it's still kind of grinding and they're still making this is impressive. And yeah, I mean, I kind of want to watch it just for Simon Pegg alone, but I definitely have not seen this either, have not heard of it. Buck Wild, I think it's a great name. But yeah, I just don't know who wants this really.
The film received generally negative reviews, according to its Wikipedia. And also, it's a Disney Plus original. I guess, it's for kids, right? It's the same thing as The Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
For sure.
I would probably go F tier.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Does it have Scrat in it? I mean, if it doesn't, I think that's straight into F. There's no way to confirm it, so I'm just assuming he's not in it. But I would throw this in F as well.
It's got a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Hey, that's better than Home Alone. So
I will say they are allegedly making a new Ice Age film, I think coming next year, called Boiling Point. So, potential for the franchise to be returned to its, rightful place.
It is interesting. I don't know where they'll kind of go with it, I guess. Because I feel like in the last one, wasn't that when the meteor hit and stuff? Or have they not gotten to that point? So I don't know. Maybe
I know the continents were drifting.
That is true. Maybe they'll do more of like a journey to the center of the earth kind of type story. Boiling Point. Maybe that would make sense. But
can you name? And Boiling Point comes out in 2027, so we've got 2 years.
Okay.
Can you name the other 5 Ice Age films?
At some point, I could have. Oh man. I mean, there's one with. I don't know if I can pull any titles. There's one where Ray Romano, where they meet Maya Rudolph, and then she's there. And then there's one where they're like on a pirate ship. And then there's one with the continents drifting. Yeah, I don't think I can name any titles, if I'm being honest.
Well, Continental Drift is the title of that film.
Yeah.
Of course, you have Ice Age. Then you have The Meltdown.
The Meltdown, sure.
Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
Okay.
Continental Drift. Collision Course. And then now Boiling Point.
I would have never guessed a Collision Course in a million years. Yeah, it's just like the most basic names, too. Like, I feel like those are very, very forgettable. Like, Meltdown. You could have named it something cooler than that, especially with Ice Age. But yeah, I haven't seen all of them in a very long time. The first one's good. I don't know if the animation holds up, but I think the story's fun. Shout out, what's the Sabretooth's name? Iago? Something like that. That's a bird from Aladdin, I think. But
Diego.
Diego. Okay, I was close. That was actually pretty close. But Scrat.
The sounds were right, but you said a non-existent name.
Yeah, not really that close. But fun franchise, fun for the kids. I enjoyed it as a kid. But yeah, not really for me.
So Simon Pegg first appearance is in Dawn of the Dinosaurs. So he's in a couple of these films prior to going on an adventure.
I think Dawn of the Dinosaurs is the first one with the female woolly mammoth. I think that was the last one that I had seen. So not a big fan of the franchise. Maybe that
Queen
was the
Latifah?
sequel. Oh, it was Queen Latifah. I said Maya Rudolph earlier. I very much apologize to Queen Latifah. She's got a great voice. But yeah, I need to catch up on the franchise before this next one comes out for sure.
All right, Kody. What do we think? It's F tier, right? We're good with
I think
that.
we have to throw it in half. Yeah, it has no, bearing going forward on anything. And I mean, we didn't even know about it. And I like Simon Pegg, so I feel like I should have heard about it. So just no cultural impact, I think, makes it go to F.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be you need to watch The Adventures of Buck Wild if you want to know what's
No.
happening with
The
Boy
name
and
Buck
Pig.
Wild kind of makes me want to bump it up, but not enough.
And he's a weasel, by the way.
Oh, wait, so he's not a possum. Okay. Apologies to the possums out there as well if you're listening.
Because notably, there are possums in the universe, but he is
Okay.
not.
So again, I was close, but just
Because
not there.
the whole bit with Queen Latifah's character is that she thinks she's a possum.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that one. So
that's the second film.
Gotcha. So I haven't seen the third one. need to catch up.
We got some work to do. We got 2 years, so it's all right. Let's hit one that I know you watched this week, Bob's Burgers, Kody.
Yeah.
Are you a Bob's Burgers fan, or was the movie your first entrance into the world?
Yeah, so I have seen 0 episodes of Bob's Burger, the TV show. So this was coming in blind. I'll say, I mean, obviously the easy comparison is like the Simpsons movie here. I think it was similar where the first time I saw the Simpsons movie, like I'd never seen a Simpsons episode. I did not like Bob's Burger movie as much as the Simpsons movie, I don't think. I thought it was solid. I think the premise, it's not that crazy where I don't know if like it could have just been, a finale.
An episode.
Yeah, of a season of the show. And I think it would have been fine. Like the stakes are high, to be fair. They might lose the burger joint, and there's a massive hole right in front of the store. And there's a ticking clock. They need money to pay rent. So I think, it is exciting. You have fun characters. I think the kids are really likable. The guy specifically. What's the name of these kids, Korbin? You're a big Bob's Burger fan, aren't you?
You're talking about Gene?
Yeah, I thought Gene, I really like his humor. I think that was right up my alley. And then, the emotional stuff with the other girl with the hat, like I kind of connected to that. Like, a kid, holding on to a memorabilia that, reminds them of their parents and stuff like that. I thought was good emotionally. And then the other girl, I think her name's like Louise or something. Her kind of through line was
Tina, Gene, Bob, Linda, and Louise.
Oh, it's Tina.
Family.
Oh, Louise is the mom, I think. I'm sorry. Shout out Tina. But I thought, yeah, her storyline.
Louise is the girl with the hat.
Oh, Louise is the girl. Okay.
Linda is the mom.
I like Louise and I like Jean. The other girl, Tina, she's just okay. Like her storyline was just like, oh, she wants to be with this boy, and it was kind of boring, I thought. But and Bob and what's the mom's name?
Linda.
Bob and Linda, I thought they were great. Like as characters and just their relationship, I think was really, they had great chemistry. They really did support each other, even though Bob's going through this super stressful time. Like they're still there for each other. So I thought all of kind of that was decent. But the villain and kind of that, the plot for me was just, not really there.
Yeah, I think this is just pretty unmemorable.
Yeah.
I like you said, it's I mean, environmental disaster. It's basically like the Simpsons movie, exactly. And that I think is more successful. The Simpsons movie is like a great episode of The Simpsons, and I think this is like a fine episode of Bob's Burgers. The music stuff, does that do anything for you?
I mean, it's okay. It's just like instantly, the opening song's okay. It kind of just drags on for a long time. And then after that, there's just like there's no like musical numbers that are super memorable.
No.
I think in the show, correct me if I'm wrong, but like music is incorporated a lot, which is fine. But the scene
I don't think there is music in the show. I
Really?
think it's like,
That's
yeah.
weird then. Well, just like when they go to like the carnies and like there's just like that random song. It's like we don't really need that. Like you could have just done a normal scene, and it probably would have been more effective. So yeah, I agree. Like the music it's kind of there. Like this is just kind of super mid for me overall.
I think there are some episodes that are more musical, and then there's some that aren't. So
How
sometimes
many
it gets
episodes
a
of the
little
show do you think you've seen?
it was only just like when I was at my sister's house that I would watch it, like when I was house sitting for her or whatever.
Nice.
So probably 4, 5, maybe.
Big fan. We're big fans. Yeah.
I think this is like it's probably better than. I think it's C tier.
Yeah. That's 100% where I would put it.
It's not offensive. It
No,
was a
like-
box office bomb, but it also came out.
Yeah, which is sad. I would have liked to seen it, perform decently, and like I think it's just a fine movie. Like I would rewatch it again. I think it's watchable for sure, but it's just not something that I would gravitate to and go see in theaters at all.
All right. Next up, we'll talk Night at the Museum. We'll get all our animated
Yes.
ones out of the way.
Waiting for this one.
Go off, Kody. What the hell? I watched this today. It was something.
Did you? Okay, yeah. I mean, off the bat, I'll say definitely not a massive fan of this, but I think this is one of the most interesting things that Disney has done with this takeover of Fox. And the Night at the Museum franchise as a whole.
Interesting is one way to describe it for sure.
Like I would say I'm a fan of the franchise. The first one, it's okay. I honestly don't love it, but I've seen it a million times. The second one, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I actually really, really like it. And the third one's kind of just there. I haven't seen it very often, but it's not that good. So, when taking over this franchise, it's like, do we really need anything else? And the answer is outstandingly, absolutely not. And I think the big tipping point is like, none of the cast came back for this. It would have been so easy for the cast to come back to something like this. A couple of the fun changes I mentioned. Steve Zahn is Owen Wilson. He does an Owen Wilson impression basically. I think his first line of dialogue is a wow, which I really like. But also you have like Zachary Levi replacing Ben Stiller. Like that's one of the biggest downgrades I think of all time, which is really funny. And then the story perspective of it too is like, it's taking the son character from the franchise, and now he's the night guard. Ben Stiller has gone on to Japan or whatever to take over that museum, and they can't find anybody to be the night guard because this job is absolutely awful. So the kid comes in. The thing I didn't like with him is like he's really dealing with the issues of growing up. I guess he's got big confidence issues. So it's probably not somebody you want to put in charge of a museum like this. If we're
How
being
old
completely
is
honest.
this kid? I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? He's in high school. So, and he's a DJ for the band, which also I hate. So what? He's maybe 16 tops. He's probably younger than that, if we're being honest. And he's
So he
thrown
gets
in
a night gig at the fucking museum.
like this is a big time job. Like
I know he's got a connection, but come on.
This is serious stuff. So obviously it goes off the rails pretty quickly. And then another thing they do, and it's similar to Night at the Museum 2, where they go to this new museum, which I didn't like any of that stuff either. But also the big thing is they bring back Kamen Ra, who was played just brilliantly by Hank Azaria in the second one. And he's just kind of a meh villain. You have his little sidekick demon guy from Egypt who I just really dislike too. It's kind of just like I feel
Seth,
like that's
right.
Yes, Seth. Jesus, what a terrible name and a terrible character. But I feel like that's the reason they did this animation style, is to have like fun and bring in these wacky characters. But none of it really works, unfortunately.
Well, and to me, like, sure, make Diary of a Wimpy Kid an animated thing. That makes sense. The magic of Night at the Museum is that it is live action and all these things come to life. But when it's all animated, like none of them look that interesting. There's no texture to be like, oh yeah, here's the Easter Island head that's talking now. Like that's just, it's not as exciting in animation. Obviously, of course, like with Robin Williams, I don't think you can do like another like live action Night at the Museum movie ever.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they probably did want to continue the franchise, but you just can't do it with the loss of Robin Williams. And I mean, I guess you could recast, but that's not going to go over well, I don't think. So I think, from my perspective with this franchise, you have to keep it in live action, like you said. So you just have to start fresh with something new. I don't think you can do kind of this legacy sequel, passing the torch onto the kid kind of aspect to make it good.
Yeah, you just need to have like the tablet getting shipped off somewhere new, and it's just an entirely
which
and
is,
people have to deal with it.
I mean, that's kind of a brilliant idea, if I'm being honest, Corbin. So, like
You could send it like this to the Smithsonian or something, probably. I bet. Like, I don't.
well, they did that in the second one. So,
Oh darn!
have you not seen
Shoot.
that?
No, I know.
Okay. Shout out Amy Adams. Love her. That was funny, to be fair. But yeah.
Do you know who plays the kid?
Yes, it's the guy from Joshua Bassett from High School Musical, the reboot, whatever. He did Olivia Rodrigo wrong. So.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's subject of driver's license, inspiration for a driver's license.
And Sabrina
That's all
Carpenter.
I know
I think he did her wrong too. I don't really know, but not a good guy, it seems. Yeah.
And Zachary Levi, a lot of great guys in this.
Yeah, that father son combo.
I heard his voice and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I was like, "Oh my god, Zachary Levi! This is crazy."
At least he was barely in the movie, but yeah, when I saw that, it was like, oh wow, like that's an instant.
Ben Stiller, man,
instant minus a star for sure.
I would put this in F tier, personally. Like to me, this is also just like milking the franchise, being like, we could just make an animated night at the museum and fucking put Steve Zahn as a, like, it's just, there's no creative connection to the original. It's just like the most direct to DVD version.
Yeah, it is 100% a direct to DVD feel, I feel like. Yeah, I'm trying to fight for a reason to not put it in F. I do like Octavius and Jedediah still. Like, I think Steve Zahn is fun, and then you have Jack Whitehall, which he doesn't do a great, Roman accent, if I'm being honest, but I thought their banter was still kind of in line with the franchise that we know and everything. So yeah, I guess I'm fine with putting it in F, but just me personally being a Night at the Museum guy, I gave it 1.5. So, not a big fan, clearly, but just like the nostalgia aspects of it, like I would watch it again, but it's pretty bad.
The Metropolis Museum of Art, Kody, which apparently just has like,
oh, that's where they go.
Also,
it's just like the George Washington painting. Yeah, it's just like, if you go to a museum, at least make it, fun historical stuff, which George Washington is very fun, but the whole painting bit, that's not my favorite stuff from the Night at the Museum. So definitely in an animation form, like I said, they just do the wacky weird stuff with the Seth character, which it just doesn't hit it at all. So I think they really messed up with, museum location more than anything else.
I'll take one here that I don't think you've seen, The First Omen, which is interesting because to me it's like the least Disneyified thing, where it's like, this is obviously The Omen, a classic kind of franchise that's seen a couple iterations. This is a prequel to that original film, but this is pure horror. This has got some really messed up imagery. There's a lot of stuff about pregnancy. I think similarly to like, a movie like Immaculate, it's dealing with a lot of the post Roe v. Wade being overturned in America, like these anxieties, these fears of, forced pregnancies. And this is a film that I think deals with those themes very well. I think it's like just fine as like a horror film, but to me, it's an interesting take on, continuing the legacy of a horror franchise. And it feels hands off from Disney. It doesn't feel like it's too sanitized like the Predator movies. It is pretty gnarly in what it does. So I would probably throw this in like a B or an A tier, honestly.
Oh wow, okay, I'll have to check it out then, because that does sound interesting. But yeah, I am surprised kind of Disney was more hands off, like you said, with it, and kind of let it be similar to kind of the original. So shout out to them. I didn't know they had that capability, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that makes me want to add it to the watch list for sure.
Let's go B tier, because like I think it's a case of like the ideas and what it is, and the fact that it was like a theatrical movie are better than maybe just the actual movie itself. Like I think the movie's just fine, but I do want to like say that it is a successful franchise installment, right?
Yeah,
continuation there,
which is a lot of we haven't seen. So shout out, yeah, I back that.
And I know a lot of people that like really, really loved this movie too, and like wrote very highly for it as well. So
hell yeah, the fans have our back.
The cinephiles were talking for sure. Let's take the King's Man, Kody, the Kingsman franchise, which I know you were talking a lot of Matthew Vaughn nonsense last week.
It was, yeah. I had Matthew's back last week. Unfortunately, that will not carry carry over to this week. Yeah, I really love First Kingsman. I do like Kick-Ass. But this was just not it. I think also Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle, is pretty poor, for being honest, other than a couple fun character moments. But yeah, I watched this last night for the first time. Didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, with it just being a prequel to the Kingsman, kind of was expecting that. That's not what this movie is at all, really, though. It's Ralph Fiennes. Pretty much, it's a retelling of World War One. At its core, but it's just kind of craziness around it. You have this Rasputin character, and then a few other characters kind of, forming this Illuminati of sort to kind of, push the war into the direction that they want. I thought the Franz Ferdinand kind of opening stuff was kind of cool. But after that, it really falls apart. It is very boring, if I'm being honest. You got Harris Dickinson there, who the entire movie he's like, I want to go off to war, Dad. I want to fight. I want to fight. He doesn't do that accent. I don't know. I'm talking like that, but finally he does get his chance when he turns old enough. I don't know. We won't go into full spoilers, but I just really disliked kind of the character direction that went. And also with Ray Fiennes, it's like at the beginning of the movie, like he's beat up, he's old. Then somehow like Rasputin like heals his leg or some shit. And now he's like a brand new guy. He's like prime time Tom Cruise in the third act. So yeah, not a fan. Jamin Hansu wasted. Pretty much everyone wasted, if I'm being completely honest. Like it's got a good cast, but just I don't know. I just really hated it, if I'm being completely honest.
It's such a cool concept because it's like, yeah, let's go back to World War One and do a World War One movie, but in the kind of franchisey fictionalized Kingsman universe. But it leans like way too heavily on the history sometimes in like a really weird way where you end up with fucking Hitler post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's just kind of boring. Like it's not as exciting as you want it to be.
Well, it's just like, I mean, we know what happens in World War One, and obviously
True.
this is a retelling of that. So the basic plot points, in between each act. Like I feel like it is very predictable, and then the action, like compared to Kingsman or Kick-Ass, like it's similar to Matthew Vaughn's style, but specifically like there's not a ton of action. I think the first one in a while is that Rasputin fight scene where he's just twirling and dancing the entire time like an idiot. And again, I just really dislike that, if I'm being honest. But the cast is stacked. You also have Charles Dance in it for a bit, which I love him. Daniel Bruhl's in it, which he's a great actor. Reese Ifans, who's the Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man, he's actually pretty good as Rasputin. But yeah, it's just like every story choice and every character choice as it went deeper into the movie, specifically with Harris Dickinson. That's really what knocked it down for me, was what they did to his character once he went to war. Just brutal and kind of just unnecessary the way it happened. So a little friendly fire action, which just doesn't make any sense. So not a fan. I love Rafe. I love everybody involved, really, but just a big miss, especially prequel wise, because eventually we get to the Kingsman, but it's like the last 5 minutes, and really it's not a Kingsman movie, if we're being completely honest.
What do you think? C, D?
I think this would be fine for D. I think, you still have, like I said, the cast, and you still have Matthew Vaughn. Like, it's somewhat watchable. It's not completely disrespectful, to the franchise, but I think it's a franchise killer for sure. I don't know if we have any more Kingsman movies upcoming after this. But they did set up Hitler. So
Only Argyle films.
which is yeah, even worse. So I don't know. I rated Argyle actually higher than this. So maybe that's incorrect.
I think I did too, as well, to be fair.
At least Argyle's fun. This is just
Well,
depressing.
yeah.
Well, the Dua. Yeah, you got Dua in it, so that makes it fun. But and Henry Cavill.
Dua Lipa.
Sam
Hercule
Rockwell.
Poirot. The Agatha Christie's. Your, of course, Murder on the Orient Express, which was pre-Disney, and then your Death on the Nile and Haunting in Venice. Cody, what do you think about these films?
I have very differing opinions of these two movies. Death on the Nile, which is of course spearheaded by Armie Hammer and Gal Gadot. Quite the duo there. Not a big fan of this one, if I'm being completely honest. I've actually never seen the original, which is kind of weird, but I have seen these two movies. But yeah, it's just the setting. Like, it is just a very straightforward story, I feel like. And of course, it's both of these are, the whodunits, and Poirot's there to figure out who done it. In this one, the whodunit is, it's like, oh, yeah, that was kind of my first thought. So not much mystery there. But I thought Hunting in Venice was actually pretty solid. I think I've talked about it briefly on the pod before, but just the aspects it takes with the mystery story of more delving into like horror and some supernatural elements, I think is a fun way to go with a movie like this. I don't think, obviously we haven't seen that kind of with the Knives Out universe. Maybe they're leaning into that a bit more with this next one, which would be fun. But I think combining, mystery and horror is a fun way to do kind of a story like this. And Michelle Yeoh, she's a little bit wasted, but she's good in it. Like the cast overall, I think is solid for Haunting in Venice. So I do like these kind of horror movies, or excuse me, these kind of mystery movies. Like the original Clue. I really like that movie. So I'm kind of a sucker for this genre in general. But yeah, it's kind of like 50-50 for me on this one. Of I don't really like Death on the Nile, but I do like Haunting in Venice.
And I think because we have Knives Out, it's kind of like this is worse in This is so much worse in comparison.
How can you not compare them? Yeah.
Yeah. If Knives Out didn't exist, maybe I would enjoy these movies better. But it's unfortunate when, he's basically doing his own Agatha Christie thing, but putting a unique spin on it. Whereas this is, I don't know, Branagh can't fucking direct for shit, and his mustache is stupid. So
his mustache is done me fair, but hey, the first Thor is all right. That's a Branagh classic.
Yeah. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that's a classic too.
He's good in Tenet. Yeah, that was definitely my thought of, I mean, Death on the Nile, it is kind of offensive, I guess, just because of the actors more than anything else.
Yeah, but, I mean, the Gal Gadot and the Army Hammer. And but, you are 100% right. It's so obvious.
Yeah, it's like cut. We don't really need the whole movie, I feel like, to figure it out. So it's a weird story for sure, I think, more than anything else. But like it's just your run of the mill, like you said, Agatha Christie. People buy these books in spades for reasons. Like it's something like enjoyable, just trying to kind of figure it out with the movie. So premise wise, I think it's still fun, even if the execution is not great in Death in the Nile. But I think C tier is a perfect spot for this.
It's timeless. We've got 2 left, and they're probably going to be fighting each other soon. It's what we started with, Alien and Predator. Let's do Alien first. We've had Romulus, which we've talked about on the pod in the past, and then there's also the Alien Earth TV show. What do you think? Is this pretty successful?
I think it is fairly successful. I think both of these, I think it was one of the big reasons that Disney did want to purchase Fox was because of these franchises. Obviously just the iconicness of both of them. And Alien specifically, well, I guess both of them, like as the franchise got deeper and deeper, it kind of got worse and worse. So you had for sure opportunities to kind of, reboot and, kind of go back to the OGs that were successful. And I think Romulus is 100% that exactly of, it does for sure make a lot of references to the original first 2 movies, which are obviously classics. And it does, play off of similar tropes. I do want to rewatch this movie though too, because the cast is really fun. Obviously with Kaylee Spaney, and then what's the other
David
main
Johnson?
Yeah, also David Johnson too. Yeah, the cast I think is great, and the direction I think is really solid as well. For sure, story aspects I don't like, specifically the
Isabella
ending.
Merced, who of course is Hawk Girl.
Yeah, I love her as well. The Last of Us, she's great in. So I think they nailed the cast, and I hope they kind of continue these characters going forward, because I would love to see them kind of continue that. But the style and the ambiance for sure is on point with the OG2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the worst stuff about Romulus is the tying back to the original Alien, especially like your Ian Holm legacy sequel garbage. But like, I think the birth stuff again, talk about fucking Roe v. Wade anxieties and everything in that, like the alien at the end, I think that's so cool. It's the kind of, creepy alien design, Prometheus-esque stuff that I like in the sci-fi alien franchise. So to me, that stuff's interesting. I think it's very well directed. Zero grav acid blood sequence is great. The use of the android, probably the best, I think, with David Johnson's character of, kind of it being her brother and having emotion is really interesting. Cool world building there for the Alien movies. Alien Earth is a tough one because it's like I don't really want them to be doing an alien television show. And I watched the first episode. The concept and setup is cool, but it looks cheap. Like it just looks like a fucking TV alien, and you need the movie budget.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say too, is I don't know if this franchise is like ideally made for TV, just because like the effects need to be really, really good. And I don't know if that, lends itself to TV as much. So I think again, it is kind of in the middle for me of I really like the direction, at least that they were going with the movie, even if, the execution wasn't perfect for me. But they're definitely in the right direction. Like keep pumping out movies like that, and I think they're going to be super successful. But at the same time, it's Disney, so they want to milk out this big franchise they acquired and make a TV show. I haven't seen any of the TV show. I was thinking about binging it super quick, but it's like hour-long episodes, which really throws me.
And it
away.
ends in a cliffhanger, I know, for the first season, so that's why I don't even want to fucking watch it.
I agree with that too. I mean, it's kind of a thing where for newer TV shows, I would like to wait for at least 2 or 3 seasons to come out. Because I feel like that's when you can get a really good understanding if it's actually something you would enjoy. So we'll see. I'm sure they'll keep making it. I'm not sure how, critically reviewed it is. But I'm excited for what they do movie wise for sure going forward.
The setup is that basically there's a new company that's putting human brains into robot bodies. And
Ooh,
like
that's
dead
gross.
kids, basically like kids that have cancer that are dying.
Oh, that's kind of cool, I guess. So are there any aliens or?
Oh, then there's an alien. There's a ship with an alien on it that crashes on Earth, as well as other dangerous alien life forms.
All right. I mean, the premise doesn't sound, the worst of all time. So somewhat interesting with the brain and putting them in synths. So yeah, maybe I'll check it out, but maybe not.
I would still probably put this in A tier because I think Romulus is just like I said, a good movie. It's solid. It makes me excited to see more alien films. When you have such great, like the thing is, it's tougher to do a good alien movie because there's already been so many good alien movies. Where Predator, maybe it's a little easier because there's been so many bad ones.
I mean, how many good alien movies really are there? I think it's just 2, but
2, yeah. I mean, I like Prometheus. I like Covenant. I'm an alien guy. I
love Fassbender.
I think Resurrection, I think is okay. I think Alien 3 is fun when there's a dog alien.
I think I like Alien 3. I know I'll have to pull up my rankings, but I might like Alien 3 more than I like Prometheus. I don't know. Guy Pearce, he loses me completely. But yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think sticking it at A makes sense for this tier list just because, like we are saying, like, the acquisition of this, I think they did take it in a very good direction, specifically movie wise. And like I said, I'm excited to see kind of what they do going forward. So I would definitely stick it in A for sure.
Yeah, to me, it's on the level of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, where
it wasn't like, oh, they did the greatest movie ever, but they took the franchise into a direction that was successful and something I think the public wants to see in general going forward too.
They gave us an alien, man. That's all I want.
They gave us a lot of aliens, to be fair.
The thing we started the conversation with, Predator, you mentioned them putting Prey on Hulu is a negative, and I do agree, like, that movie would have been awesome to see in a theater, but the Predator franchise was in a really bad spot. Prey, the title of it, the kind of the concept maybe isn't going to be like, I worry if they put that movie in theaters, especially, 2022, 2020, like in kind of a still COVID-ish world, it probably maybe wouldn't have been a successful. And then maybe we don't even get the other movies. Like, I almost think it was a proof of concept. This movie needed to do well on Hulu for them to then be like, okay, let's do Badlands, let's do Killers of Killers, which then I think are 2 very successful things. And they've basically revived what was a dead franchise.
100%. Yeah, because obviously the last attempt, the Shane Black directed Predator movie, very, very poor, just in quality and in box office. So kind of, after the acquisition, kind of being like, where do we go from here? Like, I don't think there was any confidence in the franchise whatsoever. And yeah, I think it wouldn't have been, I don't think, like, oh, a massive, it's not going to make half a mil or anything like that. But I think it would have been decent in theaters for sure, just because the premise is so fun with Prey. Completely different time period, centered around these Native Americans, and it is really good characters as well. With these actors, which I think are fun. But it is just such a like I didn't know I needed a predator, fighting a bunch of French, trapper, trapper keepers. That's not the word. Is what's that?
Just trappers.
That was the word though.
Fur traders.
Yeah, it's like trapper traders. Trapper keepers were I had one in school.
Right. Yeah.
Don't get that out also. But yeah, I didn't know I needed like a predator versus a bunch of, French trappers in the 1700s. Like that is such a unique and fun concept. And then, what they do with the main girl as well, I think, putting her in the forefront, really showing kind of what a character or just what a female like her would have had to gone through back then as well. Obviously extreme sexism, extreme racism with her being a Native American. So I think it has, just an interesting plot from that perspective. And then you throw in a predator just fucking everything up at the same time. I think conceptually it is what kind of stands out and why I really like this movie.
And then it's the thing of killers of like, why not just put a predator in every possible setting? You can put one in colonial America or pre-colonial America with fucking Native Americans, or you can go back to the Norse Vikings, or you can, go to the 50s and get a Vietnam vet. Like there are or Korea or whatever fucking war. Was that I think it was supposed to be a Korean
I actually
War,
don't know what it was.
Fighter. I believe it was the 50s. Regardless, just like the idea of the predator fighting people in different areas rather than just, dumb guys in America and in the present day.
Yeah. Again, conceptually, I think that is a slam dunk for Killers of Killer. Oh my. Stepped on Jimmy.
It's white peas everywhere.
True. But specifically the middle story too of the samurai, brotherly relationship. That was my favorite part of Killers of Killer, or Killers of Killers, excuse me. And the Norse stuff too, I thought was super powerful. Just like the arcs of those characters for the first two was really engaging, and I really kind of connected to them. The third one was okay, yeah, with the pilot guy, and then it kind of does like the what if thing where it like I don't even know how the time. I guess they were frozen, whatever sci-fi gobbledygook. But I think that's kind of unnecessary, and obviously it ties into literally every other Predator movie. I guess spoiler alert for the end credits and stuff. So the world building stuff I didn't love, but like the anthology storytelling I thought was really strong.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's just, like it's so sick to just see that a predator fight different things.
Yeah.
And I liked that it was, condensed, each section relatively small. I agree the team up at the end, it's kind of whatever, but I to me, this is the most successful franchise that Disney has taken control of, because they took something that was bad and they made it good. Whereas a lot of these are they took things that were good and they made them okay, or they took things that were bad and they made them okay. Like this is the biggest jump in quality to me, pre and post Disney acquisition.
Yeah,
even if we do think the new movie is a little Mandalorian Disney Plus-y, I would take that because it's still like a high quality, well-written movie.
Yeah. And they do like they keep the essence of the character at the same time too. Like the portrayal specifically of the predators in Killers of Killers, I think is super interesting. Kind of just them hanging out, you know, in Prey, it's more of like, I feel like it's his first visit to Earth, so he's just trying to kill everything. In Killers of Killers, they're kind of like in the shadows, like waiting for the true predators to show up and then kind of, present themselves to fight. So, and it lends itself perfectly kind of to animation because you can go all out. Like the I think it's the first Predator is just like massive. And like you would never want to pick a fight up, against that guy. So I agree. I think, the jump in quality for this franchise specifically is something Disney nailed, surprisingly.
All right, here's our final tier list. In the F tier, we have Home Sweet Home Alone, Ice Age: The Adventures of Buck Wild, and Night at the Museum. What's it called? The Secret of
It's Kamen Ra Rises Again.
Kamen Ra Rises Again. I knew Kamen Ra was in there somewhere. D tier is going to be the Diary of a Wimpy Kid franchise, the Kingsman franchise, and White Men Can't Jump. C tier is Avatar, Deadpool, Bob's Burgers, and the Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie's. B tier is X-Men, Fantastic Four, and the First Omen, the Omen franchise. A is Planet of the Apes and Alien, and S tier is Predator. I think that is accurate. That's what I would have probably predicted going in.
Yeah. I think it's a very good list. Maybe personally switch around Night at the Museum and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but that's just a personal preference.
You got to watch it first, and then you can.
That is true. But yeah, overall, I mean, again, I don't know if Disney, I would say they're not doing a lot right, but the stuff they have done right has been very, very good, to be fair. So thanks for making the Predator franchise better, but you still got some work to do, Disney.
Just real quick, looking ahead, some things that they are doing, and you can kind of just give me if you're excited or not. Simpsons 2 was announced. They are doing another Simpsons film. Are you into that?
I think that's fun. I like the first Simpsons movie, for sure. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
They waited long enough. I would say, the Simpsons voice actors, it's a little rough these days. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
We mentioned Boiling Point. We don't need to talk more Ice Age. Devil Wears Prada 2. Did you check the teaser trailer for this one?
I actually did not, but I want to. I saw, I think that in Toy Story, it had like broken view records, which is pretty cool. And I've recently watched Devil Wears Prada, the first one, for the first time, and I liked it. I mean, I like Emily Blunt. I like what's her face, but
Anne Hathaway. It's going to be a huge year for Anne Hathaway next
I actually
year.
don't like
She's
Anne
got
Hathaway.
like 5 movies. Oh, you were talking Meryl Streep.
Yeah, I like Meryl Streep. So I'm excited to see them. But I think people are excited for it, clearly. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Mina's hype. I'll tell you that. Is this a first round draft pick potentially? I don't know. We'll see.
Oh yeah, it'll be gone quick.
And then of course Avengers Doomsday also coming with your X-Men and your Fantastic Four teaming up officially in the MCU.
Yeah. I guess. We'll see. I'm personally excited, obviously just being a Marvel fan, but very hesitant for sure. No, I don't know what to expect. When Alan Cumming and James Marsden come out, I'll be pumped. But other than that, we'll see.
Well, I think this has been a fun episode. It's one I've wanted to do for a long time, and we've reached a good point. I think in the release of these Fox films, we'll see Avatar later this year, and we'll see what Disney has in store for us next year with these other ones.
Yeah, excited to see what comes. Again, very hesitant with some of this stuff, with it just being Disney. But it seems like they're moving in a solid direction with some of it. So like you said, I think it was the perfect time to do a tier list here.
Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Maybe finally some Running Man talk next week, Kody.
Yeah, if you stayed around long enough, you've heard a lot of teasing for the Running Man. So we'll make it worth your while. Stay tuned for next week.
Peace.
Peace.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.